Meeting to order at 7:05. Thank you all for being here. Now that we've called the meeting to order officially, let's move into our representatives to the ASUC report, starting with Sergeant Williams from UCPD.
Can you hear me now? Is this better? How's this? All right. So I've been at the Regents meeting since 4 o'clock this morning. So I don't have any police reports, but what I would like to share is we have quite a few volunteers for our joint effort, and I wanted to come and personally thank you guys. I plan on doing many more initiatives if you guys will participate willingly with the ASUC and the police department. This is not something that I know of that's been common ground for us, and personally for me it's a big thing because I've always felt like you may not know my story. I'm not originally from here. I'm from Louisiana, and I joined the Marine Corps not to be jumped in a gang. And then after that, I became a police officer because I didn't want kids like me to have to worry about being jumped in a gang. And I always thought that my contribution was to change my community. There is no longer a problem in my community. So when I came here, I thought that I didn't understand why ASUC and UCPD didn't have a relationship where it was just natural to work together for our community. That just baffled me. And I said when I stepped into this position that I would work not to let that continue. And I would hope that even once I'm gone, it continues. Like I'm hoping that you, as members of the ASUC, will mentor the people who come after you to continue the relationship, because I will do my part to make sure anybody that comes after me does the same. And I cannot express enough how thankful I am that you guys are open and willing to work with us, and I hope it moving forward we can continue. A couple of things that I have. I know we have this initiative we're working on, AB, I think it's 38, with UCPD and the ASUC. I want to remind you that we also have partners in the city that we are in, Berkeley PD. There's a safety patrol that they have that works on a grant. The grant is should be expiring shortly, so thank you. I will encourage you to remind our partners that we still need their help, and they're still obligated because we are in the city of Berkeley, and we don't want to let them off the hook. That doesn't mean we're trying to get out of our part, because we are here for our community, but we want to remind Berkeley that, hey, look, a lot of our dollars that go into the university goes into the city of Berkeley, and we're entitled to them giving us good service. So we want to make sure that we bring that up when you guys have an opportunity to speak with them. I will be as well on your behalf, but coming from you as well, we want to make a joint effort, UCPD and the ASUC, reminding our Berkeley partners that, hey, you have to work for us as well. And my last thing, I'm looking forward to next week on seeing you guys at my house finally. I will have food. It would be nice to have you guys over. I will have a mix of people, both civilian staff and sworn staff, young and old, so we can just kind of meet and greet and put names with faces. So when you guys actually need anything, I want you to be able to have the ability to just come in and say, hey, you know what, I know Joey, or I know Shannon, or I know so-and-so. I want to talk to somebody, and it won't be necessarily a cold contact where you're just talking to a complete stranger. Any questions of me today before I go start my next assignment?
Senator Padilla.
I just want to thank you for being so willing to take. I know me and Grant were talking to you, and we're kind of pitching other initiatives that we could partner on too, and your openness to that is really refreshing, so thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. One last thing, I won't be here to make ribbons, but I'm going to leave my ribbon contribution up here. Somebody can collect it to put it towards the cause. So thank you guys. I hope you have a good meeting.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Williams. If we don't have a Chancellor's representative or a Graduate Assembly representative, we will move into our ASUC auxiliary report.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, Rob.
All right. Okay, so from the auxiliary this week, staffing and hiring. Event Services is excited to announce that they have hired an event planning intern. The intern will be dedicated to student government events specifically, and the start date of this person will be the end of November. The SAIT EMS position of the business analyst who will help complete the updating, reprogramming of the Event Management Services or EMS online system has been offered to one of our top candidates, and so final negotiations are to be completed this week, and the official start date will be during the first week of December. The search for the lead center assistant director, the CERC director, search process is underway. The search committee met this afternoon to select 6 to 8 candidates for first round phone interviews. Any questions regarding this search should be directed to Jamie, our director, the lead center, or Susie, the auxiliary director of events and facility operations, who is also the chair of the search committee. The lead center coordinator for student org advising and leadership working with entertainment and recreational groups is now posted for applicants to apply. Direct all questions regarding this search to Fred McCall, our Assistant Director for Student Orgs, and Jonah Feldman, who is our Assistant Director of Cal Debate, of course, who's serving as the search chair. Construction news. So the concrete floor slab for Escherman Hall will start to be poured tonight at 2 a.m. The next step after that will be walls. 94 weeks until the Lower Sprout project is complete and the building will be open. Target day will be September 1st, 2015. Room 17 Hearst is set to be cleared out and reorganized tomorrow, Thursday, November 14th. Make sure items are boxed and labeled, and only authorized groups will be allowed to store stuff in room 17 after the move-outs. And that would be the student government, auxiliary, and auxiliary. All other items not claimed will be sent to the dump by November 22nd. Program updates. Note that the last day for events this semester at Anna Head is Sunday, December 15th. At Hearst Gym, Thursday, December 12th. And student tabling last day is Friday, December 6th. Event Services front desk reservations will be closed on Saturday, December 21st, and will reopen on Monday, January 6th. Reservations submitted during this time will be processed in the order received starting the week of January 6th. The Lead Center is working on identifying and developing new collaborative leadership initiatives with campus partners, including the Office of Student Development, RSSP, and the Multicultural Student Development Office and Gender Equity Centers. Thus far, with the help of Amy Hay from the ASUC Office of the President, we have identified some new leadership programs. For example, the Lead Center will be collaborating with RSSP to sponsor the Bowles and Stern Leadership Program, which is a residential leadership program that supports students in their development of a leadership identity. The committee is also looking to also identify a few additional programs and initiatives. So if you have interest in being involved in defining and developing new Lead Center leadership programs, you can contact Dustin Page in our office, in the Lead Center. Other updates. Cal Student Store will be closed on Sunday for inventory. The Cal Student Store is also having a flash sale on November 21st, so save the date for that. Textbook adoptions are underway, and if you can encourage faculty members to please complete their textbook adoptions for next semester, that would be so much appreciated. And then finally, from me, as we have only like 4 more weeks or so of school before finals, for the semester, please be sure to set up your end of the semester meetings with me to talk about kind of your goals and initiatives so far. So we'll have enough time to discuss and do preparations for your spring initiatives and your long-term initiatives. But so far I'm very happy, very thrilled about all the excellent work you guys are doing, or everyone's doing, for students here on campus. questions?
Senator Lee?
Now that we have the new, like the engineering the new space reservation system, can you ask that Thomas Brown is updated for your report every week to see how the process is going?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Now that you've hired the new engineer for the space reservation, how are you getting the system?
Okay. Oh, I'm looking. I have the event planning intern. Is that the person? The business analyst? FEIT EMS? Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Rob? All right, if there are none, thank you, Rob. So, without having had a Student Services Board meeting, we'll move into our Finance Officer report.
Yeah, Dennis.
Hello. Hi guys. So my report is in front of you, the Reddit report. And basically, well, not everything is on there. Besides when I went to Finance Committee meeting, of course, last Wednesday, and I also met with Assistant Directors of Investment and Planning from EBP office. So they are Andrea and Melissa and their interns, and we talked about the issues of Cal Lodge and what their plans are for the long-term goals, because they are the ones in charge of the Cal Lodge long-term plans. So I talked to them about it, and they said they will work on it. And I also authored Week 11 budget bill as usual. And I am also currently working on spring budgeting, the formatting, and I'm reviewing the past year's applications and see what can be improved or changed. And I set up a meeting with Rob and Melissa. I think it's next Wednesday to talk more about spring budgeting. And that's basically it. Any questions? Yeah.
Senator Feynman? Yeah, Event Services, can we work on this problem? It seems like it's happening on this side of the room.
I did before, but not this week. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It would be preferable for communications about that to go to Dennis, because he's really been central on accumulating the information on this project. I've passed on basically everything that I have about Cal Lodge to him, and he has, at this point, all of the data that I know of on Cal Lodge, except what we may be missing from records from the auxiliary if we haven't gotten those already. But yeah, if we can direct questions through Dennis, that would be preferable, so that the discussion doesn't become confusing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and in the email, I believe you guys all read, I believe Dan said something about I have the wrong information for the data and the numbers for insurance, and the cost of insurance, that what we actually got from our insurance claim, and I'm still working on getting the right data. I'm not sure how to get that, so I will work on it.
If I can just chime in on that, like the insurance claim, when we sued our insurance broker for not giving us enough money, is not revenue for the Cal Lodge, right? I know that was sort of thrown in there to be like, look, the Cal Lodge got $70,000, but that was to offset damage that was much more costly than that was done by the snow. So don't think of the $70,000 as some sort of like plus.
Yeah, it's all been used. It's like, yeah. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Dennis. All right, thankfully, we can do this without having a strange, awkward silence. It's now 7:20, so we'll do roll call. Senator Chow, Senator Chung, Senator Feynman, Senator Iwoma, Senator Kong, Senator Lee, Senator Mohabit, Senator Mullen, Senator Woche,
Present.
Senator Pacheco,
Present.
Senator Panya, Senator Quinn, Senator Rafi, Senator Shen, Senator Snone, Senator Tan, Senator Truax,
Present.
Senator Upadhyayula,
Here.
Senator Week,
Present.
and Senator Wu. Senator Chung and Senator Iwoma. All right. Thank you, senators. We'll move now then into guest announcements. If there are any guests who would like to make an announcement, please feel free to fill out a public comment card and talk to us. It doesn't seem like there are very many guests here to do such a thing. So if there are no guest announcements, having moved past roll call, we'll move into the approval of the minutes from November 6th, 2013. Senator Feynman? It's been moved and it's been seconded.
I object real quick. I was going to correct something, I guess not from last week's, but from the previous weeks, because one of the things that I abstained for a vote, in reality where I voted against something, so I don't know if that will be brought up here right now.
So briefly, I just want to remind everyone, please wait to be recognized before you speak into the microphone, just as a matter of procedure. Thank you, Senator Feynman, for setting a good example for us. When you like. But as this is for the minutes of November 6th, 2013. That's the motion that's on the table. So if there's amendments to a different set of minutes, we can talk about that or make that as a separate motion, but this is for the 6th. So are there objections to approving the minutes from the 6th or amendments that need to be made to the minutes from the 6th?
So parliamentary inquiry? Okay, so I guess for future sake, so when would I bring up that motion? So that's the reason why I brought it up now, because I didn't know when I would bring it up. So
generally when you're needing to make an amendment to the minutes, you bring that up at the time when we approve those minutes.
Yeah.
So if this is from a previous set of minutes, it would have been at the time that we approved those minutes.
yeah, that's what I'm saying essentially, but that passed by, and that's why this is the only time I could bring up that, so that's what I was asking, because it seemed as if that was an issue now or so.
Right. So, I mean, the answer to the question is when do you amend the minutes, and that would be now for the 6th, or last week for the 31st, or whatever day that was. We can do that under approval of the minutes, and we can make that amendment, but again, that will be a separate motion. So are there other amendments, or are there amendments that need to be made to the minutes of the 6th? All right, so if there are none, the motion has been made and seconded. Are there any objections to the motion to approve the minutes from November 6th? Any abstentions? Great, seeing none, motion carries. Senator Roche, what is your amendment to?
So I was just going to make an amendment to the minutes from October, 31st. It said that I abstained from the bill where in fact I voted against the I-campaign bill, so just wanted to make that clear on the record. So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so there hasn't been a motion, but we would need a motion to amend the minutes from October 31st.
Isn't that what I did? I just sorry, parliamentary inquiry. Isn't that what I just did?
So, I mean, as far as I can tell, you stated into the record that you made that stance, but in order to actually amend the minutes, because they've been approved by the body already, we would actually have to make that motion. Senator Rafi and then Senator Upadhyayula.
I move to adopt Senator Wilkins'
Okay. All right. The motion has been moved and it's been seconded. Are there any abstentions? Any opposition to the motion? All right. The motion carries, and the minutes from the 31st have been revised accordingly. We'll move then into new business. And so if I've read these correctly, all of the bills except for SB 59 go to external affairs. Authors of the bills, did anyone intend to have a Conrev bill this week? Okay, so if that is accurate, then Senate bills 54, 55, 56, 57, and 58 will be sent to the University and External Affairs Committee, and SB 59 will be sent to the Finance Committee. Is there a motion to send those bills as they've been allocated?
Motion.
All right.
Send the bills to XCOM and FICOM.
Okay. It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. So we'll move then into the approval of the agenda for November 20th, 2013. Senator Feynman? Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Senator Week, do you have discussion on this?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we move to approve my special order that I brought up last week officially.
Right. So this is the meeting, and as we discussed last week, this is the meeting where we will recess at 8 p.m., visit UCPD, and then come back at 9, at which point we will hear Senator Week's special order. Senator Week, can you state the name of your special order for the record?
A special order about the history and traditions of Big Game Week and the Cal Basketball Incentives Program.
Okay. So the agenda, if the motioner accepts those amendments to the motion, so we, good? Okay, so we have a motion to approve the agenda for November 20th with the understanding we will have the break for UCPD as well as the special order on Big Game Week. Are there questions? Senator Quinn and Senator Moshe? Okay.
15 minutes for the organization CalPERG to come talk about their pledging process.
Okay, so there's been a motion to add another special order after Senator Week's special order for CalPERG. Is there a second to that motion? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections to that motion to change the motion? Yes. Okay, so we have a field trip and 2 special orders. If there are no objections to Senator Feynman's original motion to approve the agenda for November 20th, 2013.
I was going to say for, because it should be in alphabetical order for standing committee reports, so it should read Constitutional Procedural Review, Finance, and then University and External Affairs, so just for them to make that correction.
Okay, so that's been duly noted. We will, as we do fairly regularly, forward these concerns to the office manager. All right, are there any objections to Senator Feynman's motion? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. We've approved our agenda for November 20th, 2013. We'll now move into executive officer reports. I'd like to welcome up President Pepito for her report.
Hello, everybody. You hear me? Okay. So I don't really have an executive report that's written for this week. I updated you all a lot on what was happening last week while I was on the floor, and then I didn't have any administrative meetings to update you all on between then and now. I have been doing a lot of more office stuff from the end of last week up until now. Still just trying to get together the last events for November for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. That's also now being, I think, overshadowed a little bit by the relief efforts now that Senator Tan and I will be trying to help lead from the ASUC end in collaboration with the Filipino community here at Cal. So for those of you who don't know, there was two very large typhoons that hit the Philippines. I personally actually am affected by this. My family lives right in Tacloban, right where the typhoon had hit. So for me, myself, I'm actually still waiting to hear from my family members to make sure everyone is okay. Last time we heard, I think they are, but I know for sure that the house that my family, or that my aunt lived in, is like pretty much destroyed. So that's been rough because we don't really know what's going on yet. Obviously all communication is down too. We can't really get a hold of them. I'll know by the end of this weekend, but other than that, I guess I want to say thank you for helping make these ribbons right now in the last few minutes. That's a huge help. If you're already done making your ribbons, just pass them over to Sean's side. He'll put them in the bag. If there's any left over, we don't have any more safety pins unless you have some at your specific station. So if you do, just pass them along to people who need them. But EAVP, McCly's office, and I will be calling out for you all to help volunteer for work nights throughout the next few weeks. Every single night there'll be a work night making ribbons and selling, and then they'll be sold on Sproul the next day. So I'm hoping to get at least 2 nights next week organized for just ASUC staff to work on it, because a lot of the PIL community leaders and folks in the community are already doing them. Our goal tonight is to make 500 to last us at least tomorrow. We had 200 today, and I think they sold out within the first hour. I'll be sending out a campus-wide email with the finalized logistics and details of all the efforts that the PIL community will be doing this for the next few weeks. There'll be a candlelight vigil next Thursday night from 4 to 6 on the Mario Savio steps. So we're going to meet there and then start lighting candles around 5 or so, and potentially do a silent procession throughout campus. And so look out for that. Otherwise, just kind of stay tuned and stay alert with any emails or notifications we send out to you all. We really could use the help and the volunteers. Right now, the best that we can do is really raise funds to send over there. Sending packages, it takes a lot of money and a lot of, it's a lot longer of a process. So, still planning the Napolitano campus visit. Still has not been the details still have not been finalized. I'm just still waiting to meet with a couple community leaders and stuff from different campus orgs that are interested in really getting involved in that, to see also other input in what that campus visit should look like. But again, to remind you, that's going to be on December 10th. Is there any other questions? I'm done.
Senator Roche?
Last week, I think you said December 9th and 10th. Just want to clarify. So now it's just only December 10th, or?
December 9th is only like a reception dinner, and I don't even know if I'm invited yet. Like, okay. I'm pretty sure it's going to be with like admin. I don't know what that looks like. So okay. I know the 10th is like the official campus date, but the 9th is just going to be some dinner that I'm not sure who is invited to yet.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, President Pepito. Let's go down our list and hear next from our Academic Affairs Vice President's office.
Hello. Sorry. Okay, so I would like to begin. So I sent out an email at the beginning of this week regarding the RISE Scholarship Committee, which still has 2 open seats. The RISE Scholarship Committee still has 2 open senator seats. So if there are 2 senators in this room, in addition to the 2 who have already expressed interest, who would like to serve on this committee, please do, because the scholarship goes live in the spring, and there is a little bit of infrastructure building that still needs to happen in the fall with the input of senators. So if you do have any interest in this, please send me an email, or after I'm done here, you can just let me know verbally, and then I can send you an email. And the RISE Scholarship, again, stands for Removing Impediments to Students' Education, and this is primarily geared toward AB 540 students. So if you have any interest in those types of issues, please contact me to serve on this committee. So some major updates. There was a standing meeting this afternoon, actually, with Elizabeth Deacon, who's the Academic Senate Chair, the new Academic Senate Chair, and she is working with the AVP office to push forward the syllabus template proposal that's been going through the Academic Senate, which is essentially, you may have heard in previous executive reports, it is a list of resources that are to be included in every academic syllabus in every class on campus. And so with the support of the Academic Senate, it's being pushed through Divisional Council to be included on every syllabus, and so it's institutionalized a syllabus review process to make sure that this list of resources that includes health, wellness, and academic assistance resources, as well as a short paragraph from the Academic Senate and from the AAVP office that basically describes the purpose of this resource list. So that is being pushed through the Committee on Educational Policy as well as Divisional Council.
and I'll update as I receive updates from the Academic Senate. Additionally, we discussed the formalization of a student summary review process, which is basically having students write summaries of these Academic Senate meetings, which are separate from the minutes that are released or often not released by the Academic Senate committees. And so this is something that's been going on semi-informally, but this will now become a more institutionalized part of the Academic Senate representative process. Additionally, one thing that's come out of the Academic Senate and the Library Commission, the Commission on the Future of the Library, is discussions about a 24-hour Moffitt. And so this is one thing that we're working on with the Academic Senate as well as the Commission on the Library. And the beginnings of this conversation began today, and I will update you as they move along. Additionally, Berkeley Connect is a mentorship program that we've been working with, and they've expressed interest in collaborating with the AAVP in creating both a mentorship services advisory committee, which includes administrative representatives and student representatives from mentorship services on this campus, including places like EOP, MSD, the Multicultural Student Development Offices, the Dreamers Resource Center, and basically creating an advisory committee that addresses issues within mentorship services on campus, as well as a Berkeley Connect advisory committee. And I know they mentioned they have spoken with a few senators, so we'll be reaching out to collaborate with those of you who are involved. We have our RRR Gear Up Week happening in the next couple of weeks. Interesting update is we've received from the RSF a free cardio kickboxing class that will be offered on Savio Steps. So of all of the events highlighted in the exec report that you received, that's one that might be of particular interest. So grants, one important note about grants is all of these, the grant committees have senators serving on them. So if you are a senator who has not attended your allocation meetings, you must. Otherwise, you will be removed from the committee. So I know our grants director has contacted several of you who have not attended your meetings. So please get in touch with this person, or as time goes on, if we still don't hear back from you, then we'll have to take action. So please do. Also, the Textbook Scholarship Committee, that is made up of several senators, 4 senators in this room. You'll be receiving an email in the next couple of weeks to discuss the timeline that we've set out for the scholarship, which will go out at the end of the semester. So please do look out for that. And it will be open from November 22nd to December 6th. So within the next week, you should be receiving an email to meet with the committee. Also, the RISE Scholarship is looking, we'll be having a meeting with the Berkeley Students Foundation to reinstate the $5,000 we were given for the fund last year. That's eligible for annual renewal. And a final note, the Academic Senate and Admin Committee's website is live at committees.asuc.org, and this is a website that we had created last year, which includes all information on any campus committee that you might be interested in hearing from, and it includes updated student summaries and minutes, official minutes. So spread this to your communities and to your constituencies, because this is an important resource that includes information on any committee that might be relevant to your communities.
Any questions? Senator Wheat?
I had spoken with AAVP Jameson about the possibility of a performing arts grant, and I just wanted to know if there was any progress on that, or if you had any updates.
Yeah, so we have been discussing a performing arts grant with one of our directors who's very interested in working on this. And so there are some difficulties in securing more funding for another grant. I can email you and give you more thorough details, but yes, this is something that's being talked about, but there are definite roadblocks. Mm-hmm.
Senator Feinman is next, and then Senator Voce.
I was going to talk, sorry. I know Dolly mentioned that she had some meetings that I was wondering if there's a time frame how many meetings were going to last, or that
So after next week, they'll be over. So she'll be here for every week after next week. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Senator Voce, and then Senator Padilla.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, great work by the way, but I was going to ask on terms of the library commission, the report that they submitted, because I know they've been working on that since like May or sometime early last year. So just to clarify, so has it now been released and they're now analyzing the information, or just want to, yeah?
Yes, so I received a report from the commission on the future of the library, and so it has been released, and basically it outlines, I can send it forward to you, but basically it outlines where funding comes from, issues in funding, and then basically the idea that we need to, if we're going to open a 24-hour library, we need to analyze existing 24-hour spaces and basically assess kind of how we would fund this new project. So I can send it forward to you.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'll just jump into it. I have two questions. First, with the AAVP meeting with Bob Jacobson, just like a kind of update on that, as well as the meeting with Kathy Koshland, if you could speak a little bit more about those.
Sure. So the meeting with Kathy Koshland is upcoming, actually. I should have written upcoming meeting. But that is next week. So hopefully I'll have an update for you next week on the progress of that. And the Bob Jacobson meeting as well is next week. Okay. So both of those, I can give you a more thorough update when it happens. Yeah.
Other questions for our AAVP Chief of Staff? All right, if there are none, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to invite up our External Affairs Vice President for her report.
Don't do that. Hi. So most of it is in the report. SOC is this weekend, finally. We're super stoked and a little panicked because we are bringing so many people down to Southern California. But I'm really stoked to tell you all about it next week and how that goes. Just a couple things that I kind of need from you is the Ignite Week of Action is next week, and we have a few actions lined up, and we'll be publicizing those kind of over the weekend and developing them through SOC as well. But if you all do have any external issues that you wanted to plug or do actions for that are related to higher education funding, students of color, diversity at the UC, recruitment, retention, please talk to me. And also talk to your staff if they want to help plan something like that. No, you're fine. Just an update on the second response ordinance. So thank you to those of you that came to City Council yesterday. It was crazy. One of the most hilarious meetings to date. But the second response ordinance vote was delayed. So they kind of heard public comment and then decided to delay it again because Councilmember Worthington asked for some numbers and some analysis that we didn't get yet. So I'll stay on top of that. And then the other thing as far as yesterday was we voted, or the council voted on a Take Back the UC resolution and voted to support it. So they are in support of the Big Broad Coalition, which is great. And then as most of you know, especially Destiny, there's a Regents meeting going on this week. So that's been interesting in following that. And let me see what else I want to talk about. Oh, the Veteran Affairs panel is moved to next Thursday. We had some scheduling troubles, but we're all set now, so it's going to be next Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m., probably in the Unit 1 APR. So definitely please try to come to that if you can. And last thing is, right now I'm working with, so UC Davis undergraduates are not part of UCSA. They were at one time and then they left, and like we're trying to get them back. It's like dramatic. But what I met with them last week and we just talked about ways that we could collaborate, and UC Davis has a really strong lobby corps, probably because they're so freaking close to Sacramento. But because they have such a strong lobby corps, I thought it would be fun and interesting for us to partner with them and go with them on some of their lobby visits and kind of speak with Davis on behalf of the UC. So I'll be coordinating some joint lobby visits with UC Davis, which is a really great way to kind of get to know some of the senators from UC Davis, some of the lobby corps there. So if you're interested in participating in that, I'll send up a sign-up sheet probably within the next week. So look out for that also. Yep, but that's it.
Question, Senator Upadilla.
I have a question about the meeting with George Beer of the Willard neighborhood. Could you just speak more about like what his thoughts were on the second response ordinance?
Yeah, so the neighborhood associations are pretty much entirely opposed to any changes to the second response ordinance. Their reasoning is, and what's nice is George and I meet frequently, so he was fairly frank with me. Even though his name's George. That was a joke, come on. But basically what he said is that the second response ordinance as it is currently was the result of like a lot of negotiations between the ASUC and the city of Berkeley. And the way that it's written now with the warning and then the fine or probation period was after the neighborhoods already felt like they had to compromise with the ASUC. Which is why they feel like we're going in demanding like a unilateral change of the ordinance without going through a neighborhood meeting or town hall process. So basically what the follow-up to that meeting is that if the amendments to the second response ordinance fail, we want to bring together the neighborhood associations, the ASUC, some of the city council members, and discuss how we can work together to reform the second response and response to noise violations.
Senator Feinman?
Yeah.
Do you want to try them one more time? There have been adjustments that were made.
Did this work? Yeah, I have two questions. First, kind of like a procedural thing. So I emailed all the city council members, like you said, and many of them sent back like form responses. Is that customary? Okay.
Yeah, they read your letter, or what they'll do is they're pretty small offices, so their aide will tell them that they got an email from X person, either opposed or in support. But yeah, the form responses are somewhat typical.
Okay, and the second thing is, kind of like strategically, when you're meeting with the people, like the Willard Association and stuff like that, clearly those individuals have been here longer than any one student has been, but students as a whole have been here much longer than they have. Like, unless you're 160 years old, you don't move into this area without the knowledge that students also live. And I'm wondering what their approach is like practically, like the fact that we've been here for 160 years, we make noise and we're not going away, and how they kind of respond to that.
Yeah, so that's a good argument. So obviously the university has been here since 1868. The Willard Neighborhood Association has not been here since 1868. The idea is that over time, the university has grown from more space than the first building of the university was South Hall, and they thought the university would be concentrated in that one area, but it's grown, and the living space that the university has taken up has also grown with it. And you know, the Greek system came up later and kind of moved into that corner closer to the Willard neighborhood. And their feeling is essentially, one, they have just as much right as students to live there. Two, a lot of the residents have owned their properties for a long time or are under rent control, or this is the only home that they have. And they understand that there's going to be some difficulty in living with students, but they don't feel that that should mean that they should either accept crazy amounts of noise or leave. They think that there's some balance that we can strike, and they think that their best tool for striking that balance is the second response ordinance, which obviously we know that it's really flawed and ends up taking away a lot of power from residents as a whole. So the argument doesn't resonate super well with them. That being said, I think they understand the idea that reform to the second response ordinance we have to make them feel that it won't take power away from them, but it will give us a chance to be empowered to defend ourselves when something is given unfairly. And they're starting to hear that a little bit more, so I think we just need to continue to flesh out how we can proactively continue to build that. Yeah, that was a good question.
Senator Upadilla?
Yeah, kind of following up with the same. I know you said if the amendments don't pass, then we kind of continue those conversations, but is it possible to have those meetings starting now? Because I think I think most of us can agree the amendments to the second response aren't like in any way comprehensive or really addressing the main problem with the second response ordinance as a whole. So is it possible to kind of set set up those meetings like right now.
Yeah, so that's why I met with George in the first place, was that I was hearing neighborhoods go like, why have the students never met with us? So I called a bunch of them and I was like, wait, hey. And so that's kind of the first step. As far as looking at like holistically what our next steps is for giant second response reform, I mean, I don't think there's enough time to set up like a big town hall type session before the next council meeting. That being said, I'm happy to like pool together the neighborhood associations and like an email thread, give them a call, and if they can all meet on campus, then I would be happy to do that and organize it and let you all know. So I can work on that. But the other proactive thing that we've been doing is I've been talking about in January, we're doing like our public safety campaign kickoff. That's going to be co-sponsored by all of the neighborhood associations, the ASUC, the university, the Greek system, the co-op system. So it'll be, what we want that to be is like one of the first times in recent years that students are reaching out and saying we want to proactively solve these problems, and it will give the neighborhoods a lot of chance to kind of air their grievances with the students, and then for the students to say, like, we understand and this is how we're working to make our relationship stronger. So there are plans to do that in the future as far as like a super quick turnaround. As far as just calling them individually, I'm not sure that we can get them all in the same room. Yeah.
Great. Other questions? If there are none, thank you.
Thanks.
Let's move on to a report from our Student Advocate's Office.
Hello all. So in addition to what's on the written report, the bank consolidation working group has been continuing to meet. They're meeting on basically a weekly basis now. So they met this Tuesday and the past Tuesday as well. They're currently working on a draft of the RFP and are expecting to have a draft up for public comment by early next week, but they may or may not end up pushing that back. In either case, you can expect that sometime in November, the draft will be up for public comment. We'll let you know, and you can have input on the RFP through that when that time comes. In addition, the working group is looking to create a subcommittee of students that will meet together to look over proposals when they do start coming in. So there hasn't been an official request for reps yet. I'm sure that DJ will probably hear about that when the time comes, but if you're interested, just keep that in mind. And maybe flag that with myself or Rishi, so that we'll have, or with DJ, so that when the time comes, we can put you on that group. So yeah, mainly the group is still working out the kinks in the RFP and thinking through some of the legal issues, so that's been most of the dialogue at this point in time. Another thing that isn't in the written report is we're actually, myself, Rishi, and two of the directors from the Student Advocate's Office are going to be meeting with the state auditors that are auditing the campus for sexual assault policies and our Title IX compliance. On that issue, I would appreciate if you all have anything in particular that you'd like us to bring up with them. The meeting is going to be tomorrow at 10:30. We got really short notice on this, so I would have asked you all earlier, but we literally found out yesterday. So if you have anything that you'd really like us to bring up, please let me know. Like email me, email Rishi, and we can talk to them about that tomorrow. Alternatively, if you want an opportunity to speak to them yourselves and meet with them yourselves, you can also let us know, and we'll try to push them in your direction so that you can have a chance to speak to them. They are looking for student input, so if you're interested, I'm sure they'd be open to that. Another thing is, the last item I have here is that the Student Advocate's Office is putting on a residency workshop regarding how to obtain California and state residency for tuition purposes, and that will be at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow in the Unit 1 all-purpose room. So if you know of folks that are interested in obtaining California residency to pay in-state tuition, please forward them to that event. Additionally, issues that are pertinent to AB 540 students will be addressed during the presentation as well. So if that's something that your constituents are interested in, then tomorrow 7:30 p.m. Unit 1 APR. And that's all I have.
Any questions for our student advocate? All right, if there are none, great. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess starting off with meetings, aside from what's in the report, I guess I would draw your attention to the CSSB's business development committee that met last week. There are a lot of things that I can't talk about in open session because they're related to contracts, but one interesting thing is that we're in the process of reevaluating ASUC vending machines around campus. Some of them are in really great locations, like on the Memorial Glade level of Evans, and some of them are in really weird locations, like the basement of Darrow's. And so apparently the way that our contract is right now, the company that contracts those vending machines to us is not making money really. And so we're trying to reevaluate the locations of the vending machines, whether we need to keep all of them and that sort of thing. Connected to that conversation, someone from the Residence Hall Assembly mentioned that they're interested in having a vending machine in Bowls, I think, or something like that. Yeah, so I'm going to connect them with Susie, who is our events and services and facilities person, and she deals with vending machine contracts and things of that nature. If you all have community members or spaces or things like that where you think there should be a vending machine, like if your student groups are on a part of campus where there's not a vending machine and that sort of thing and they would like one, let us know. I think there's probably like a really robust conversation we can have about where the campus allows us to put them and how that works, because it's arbitrary as far as I can tell. Just something to think about. I participated in, or attended, I guess, a number of community events this week. Also, Amnesty International sponsored a panel on fair trade and labor rights. And so because of the work that I did in Senate last year with fair trade, they invited me to speak on that. If any of you are interested in working on getting some sort of ethical purchasing policy at UC Berkeley, come talk to me. It's something that I've had like an incredible struggle with for all the things that like we've been able to push through the university as the ASUC. Purchasing policies are a complicated thing, and if you're interested in something like a fair trade purchasing policy or an ethical purchasing policy so that we move away from companies that have poor labor practices, it's definitely something I'm really interested in and has been a struggle with administration. So something to think about. I also went to, I guess what would you call this, like a special lecture with the really incredible Princeton professor Michael Walzer. He was brought onto campus by the Berkeley Institute on Jewish Law, Israeli Law, Economy, and Society. And so they invited me and other campus leaders. Max from the GA was there, he's the GA president, and there was like a colloquium afterward where I got to like speak with him one-on-one, which is really crazy because like he's a really towering figure in the world of academia, which was just really cool. And then there was, today on Sproul, for those of you who didn't see it, between noon and 1, there was a protest by the MSA on the use of drones. So I also participated in that, which was interesting and also really just sad. It was like a reenactment or an interpretive reenactment of drone attacks. And so that's also something that I think a lot of people in the United States are not as fully aware of, I guess. It's not our lived experience or reality on a day-to-day basis, generally speaking, although police forces around the country are also purchasing surveillance drones in the US. That's how it started abroad, so who knows? Something to think about. And then EVP-related events. We're having, we had our first focus group today. The focus groups are largely for student groups that have used the ASUC as a resource, and we're trying to figure out how we can better provide resources to them. So my student resources department has been reaching out, just using basically the list of groups that got finance committee funding this year from contingency, or have applied for spring budgeting, and we're trying to do outreach to those groups to get just a few people in the room at a time to talk about what the funding process is like, what accessing funding and getting reimbursement is like, and to generate ideas on how to change that. So we had one today, there's one tomorrow, the 14th, and then one on Monday, the 18th. All of them are 4:30 to 6:30 in Unit 1. There are Facebook-related things for that as well. If you feel so inclined, you can share the picture, repost it on your wall. That would be really helpful. And then, as a side note, there's food at all of those, and so students who attend are entered for a chance to win a $50 gift card to the student store, which was generously donated by the student store. So if y'all need money for textbooks next semester, or people in your communities do, you should tell them to come so they can enter for a chance to win. And the new ASUC concept town hall is tomorrow from 4:30 to about 5:30 in Unit 1 APR. And it's a mix. We're trying to get a mix of people who have experience with the ASUC, but also people who have never interacted with the ASUC in one room together so that we can collectively generate ideas about what the student population thinks the ASUC should be focusing on. So it's everything from like, this has been my experience with the ASUC to this is what the ASUC would have to do to be relevant to me as a student who hasn't interacted with it before. So that's sort of a conversation that's happening tomorrow. Invite your community members to come. There's going to be a cheese board, which is apparently like a huge draw for people, I guess. I don't know. It has cheese on it. So lastly, we have a student resources workshop coming up. That's on November 21st. That'll be from 6 to 8 in the Unit 1 APR. This is to walk people through, primarily to walk people through the funding process, the way that we do ASUC funding, but also, again, sort of to get feedback and brainstorm on new ways that the ASUC can do funding. So, for example, this year we have a Student Spaces Reservation Fund. If there are like common categories of funding that are a little more specific than just contingency that we should have perhaps like a line item in the ASUC budget for, that's like a consideration that would come up in this. What are your resource needs? What can the ASUC do to be like more tailored to the needs of your student group? Please also invite student groups to come to that. That, generally speaking, is best suited for student groups who perhaps have got spring budgeting but don't know how to do contingency funding and that sort of thing. So, no, that one's on November 21st. Oh, okay. The Monday, November 18th one is actually not 4:30 to 6:30. It's 12 to 3, apparently, something like that. That's what Kevin said. I guess we can. Okay, well, new developments, we'll email out about that later. That's all I have for updates. Do y'all have questions? Senator Mullen, then Senator Boche, then Senator Rafi.
I'm hoping this is going to work. Okay. Yeah, my question is regarding the wiki and your meeting with the OCF.
Yes.
So it says that like their current wiki doesn't support what we're looking to make, meaning that like what their service that they currently do within the intranet that they use.
So we're looking to have like a really robust wiki that's editable by people.
Yeah.
So where it's like crowdsourced content, for lack of a better term, or open source content,
Yeah.
where we have some central body that approves the new changes, and apparently like structurally the wiki that they have already doesn't support that.
Okay.
So it's not that like they couldn't do a wiki for us, it's just that the one that they have set up already doesn't do that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, as you move forward with this project, how content management will be held, especially since we rather lack continuous forms of like
Yeah, so
editing.
we've had that conversation also. There are student staffers who are paid by the Lead Center. There's money for the Lead Center to pay them. I don't know that they exist yet, to do ASUC archive work. And so we're looking to link those two projects so it runs out of the Lead Center. Other questions? Senator Woodruff?
Yeah, I had two sort of questions. So first, considering the vending machines or so, so in terms of putting Scantrons in there, I don't know, have those conversations been up? And also, how much leisure do we actually have in terms of placing things or putting things inside the actual machines themselves?
So putting things inside the actual machines is a conversation between us and the contractor. We changed recently, or a couple of years ago, to put more like health-related products in them or something like that. Also, there are 22 seconds left. Okay, there's been a motion to second by 3 minutes. It's been moved and it's been seconded. Are there any opposition? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. I'll try to talk quickly. As far as like where they get placed, that's a much more complex conversation that we're just now delving into. If the people in the auxiliary and us right now don't know how the vending machines got where they are, and so that's part of the conversation that we have to have.
All right, and the second question I had is in terms of clubs and talking about their experiences, have things such as the fact that, in terms of the current purchasing process, the fact that, takes 2 weeks to process, obviously, and the fact that you can't purchase things online. So let's say if you're fundraising, you need to use your money for more feasible things. It's just very difficult.
Have I talked to y'all already about the like credit card program? So we're actually moving forward already, and it's going to happen, but there is a credit card program that the Lead Center is going to pilot over the summer, where there are credit cards with different limits, like $100, $300, up to like several thousand, depending on what clubs have, or we will have like a dozen or more of these credit cards that can be checked out for that purpose. And the goal is to move everything to something like a cash advance through these credit cards for student groups that have had money allocated to them instead of reimbursements. I don't know why the reimbursement process right now takes 2 weeks instead of 10 days. But my student resources office is working, part of the reason that we're interested in hearing feedback from students is so that we can inform this pilot program. I'm working with Paula Lofgren from the auxiliary, and my student resources department is working with her to establish the sort of parameters of the rollout of the pilot. So the pilot will be starting at the very earliest we could possibly start it would be in April because of what Union Bank has available to us, and it will probably last over the summer. After working out the kinks, we will launch it for real in the fall.
Thank you.
Yeah. Senator Rafi?
Okay, good. So just following up with the California conference room bill, I think it was November 14th that 15th that we designated as the official move-in day, and I was just wondering whether the EVP office has made any inroads in contacting the student groups.
We haven't reached out to the student groups yet, but we do have now. We have space to put things like the big conference room table, which will have to be cut in half. So we're working towards that. We haven't actually reached out to the student groups, but the goal is to do that before the weekend.
So before they're moved? Before they have to leave?
Well, yeah, so before the end of the day Friday, we would send out that contact information and just let them know what's going on.
Okay, and then just to reiterate, are we going to be including alternative spaces for them to use?
The conversation on alternative spaces, really all we can offer them is event services that can put them into our spaces, or if we're feeling particularly callous, sending them to the registrar to book classrooms. But the only other space that's really within our control that is similarly sized to California Conference Room is the Senate Lounge. So we can tell them that there's Big Bear and Little Bear Conference Room available in the same way that you would book CCR, but we just don't have a lot of spaces. We will include what's available in the email.
Okay, thanks.
All right, all the time we have for questions today. We have many guests. So thank you all for that. We have now no appointments, if I'm not mistaken. Are any special committees needing to now announce appointments or the intention to appoint somebody next week? Senator Mullen?
Exactly. Elections Chair Gina, you reached out to me. I forwarded her on to Lizzie because she wanted to nominate her choice for her council members. I don't have the nomination because I'm not sure who those people are, but I just wanted to voice that she has reached out with the intention of appointing her council members to get started this fall.
She has names already?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so I don't actually have those names.
Yeah, I'm not nominating them. I'm just letting everyone know that
Okay.
she'll probably be coming next week, I'd imagine. She reached out to Lizzie, or I put her in contact with Lizzie.
Great. So we can expect then our elections council chair to come talk to us about that. If there are no appointments, though, we will now move into special orders. So we have first a presentation on the honor code for 15 minutes and a presentation by the Filipino Association for Health Careers for 20 minutes. So from the honor code, can they run the PowerPoint off of your computer? Or you can run it off of mine, it's fine. Can you help me with this? Oh, okay.
Just begin? Okay. Hi guys. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mahir. I was a senator last year, sitting in this seat, so it's interesting in giving you guys a presentation. I'm here with Professor David Presti, and we're going to be giving a presentation on the UC Berkeley Honor Code.
And also, if it's easier for either of you to just take the mic off the stand. I know
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. Well, thank you. It's a delight to be here. I'm here in my role as the chair of the Academic Senate Student Affairs Committee, and also as the Academic Senate faculty representative to the ASUC. So that's kind of independent of this in a way, but if there's anything that the faculty here can ever do in support of any of your activities, please feel free to contact me. So several years ago, when the Shale Lumba was the president of the ASUC, an idea emerged that it would be great for our campus to have an honor code that was a simple, affirmational, positive statement. And that ended up being this: as a member of the UC Berkeley community, I act with honesty, integrity, and respect for others. And the idea was as follows: to create some kind of place, springboard, entry point, touchstone, whatever, so that there would be a more consistent dialogue about these issues of honesty, integrity, and respect on campus, in classes, any place that it was appropriate to do that. And also to use it as a way to just talk about this stuff, provide clarity in classes and other settings about what ethical behavior was, what honest behavior was academically, could you collaborate, are you supposed to do it by yourself, etc. Just make all that stuff clear, and have this eventually come as a so-called bottom-up approach from the students, so that the students would really be driving this whole discussion in some way rather than faculty or administration or something like that. And that it would be a proactive thing. It would be something that was put in place not in response to some scandal, like something happened at Harvard, I think a couple of years ago, and they were going around saying, oh, we need to have an honor code or something like that. And so it's not that. It's that being the leading university we are, to be ahead of the curve and just have discussions about honesty, ethics, integrity, respect, these things being front and center and considered an important part of the whole experience of being here. So all of those, have it be simple and affirmative so that it would be easy to embrace by everyone. It was not supposed to be some kind of code of conduct. We already have one of those big, thick things. It was not supposed to encourage discipline. It was supposed to be an affirmation. So here's what's been done so far. Last year, it was unanimously endorsed by the ASUC Senate and the GA.
So last year it was unanimously endorsed by our Senate. It was a Senate bill during the spring of 2013. So basically saying that the ASUC agrees with this honor code and wants to help with the implementation of it. So that was kind of like the first steps of senators and the ASUC really taking charge and really making this kind of an campus honor code.
And so thank you. And so at that time, the ASU says the president last year, Connor, co-wrote a memo with Chancellor Burgeonow at that time, and went out to everybody on campus saying, here's what it is, and this seems like a really good idea, and we hope everybody embraces it, and so forth. There was an op-ed in the Daily Cal written by Connor and the Executive Dean of Letters and Sciences, Mark Richards. And then there were teaching guidelines that were written up by a committee of folks that were then distributed to every faculty and GSI on campus with the intention that these ideas would be incorporated into syllabi. And hopefully some of you guys have seen that stuff in your classes now. I know that some of my colleagues have put it in their syllabi. I've certainly had it in mine and so forth. And there was also a website here created on the as part of the ASUC website that was put together by Connor and Senator Aviv Gilboa last year to describe the honor code. It has a comprehensive FAQ and so forth. So that's kind of where it was at as of 6 months ago. And then a couple of additional things. It's now part of the statement of intents to register for all incoming undergraduate and graduate students. So beginning last year. So if you look at that My Berkeley application, there's a checkbox there, the very first thing that you understand and as a member of the UC Berkeley community, I will act with honesty, integrity, and respect for others, and if you don't check it, it doesn't go any further. So at least, hopefully it'll mean more than just those guidelines of what do you call those things that you check on software and so forth, but terms of agreement, and hopefully it's a little more than that, but only if folks talk about it. Same thing with the graduate SIR. And then one final thing, there was a small number of posters made for halls and lobbies. Some of you may have seen, these are a selection. There's more faces than just these three folks, but these are several of the ones that are up in some of the buildings now. So that's kind of where things stood as of a number of months ago. So Mahir will now tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so as David was saying earlier, I actually sit on a committee as a chair of the committee, and David is also part of the committee. Then we have the Dean of the Letters and Sciences. We have AAVP Valerie Jameson, and then we also have a representative from the Graduate Assembly. So this is a committee that is really tasked with the implementation of the Honor Code on campus, and we really wanted to bring it to you guys because, to you all, because there's been a lot of implementation that, we want really students to be involved in. So next steps, so the ongoing implementation committee. Then we are continuing to distribute and reinforce teaching guidelines and suggestions for faculty and GSI. So can I get a quick raise of hands? How many of you have heard of the Honor Code, at least in one of your classes? All right, so it's a fairly good number. We want to really work to increase that. There's an email sent out to faculty and GSIs to really include it in their syllabi and make it part of their course. So we want to continue with that implementation. It was just sent out in the Campus Advisors newsletter. So, you have your LNS advisors, you have your engineering advisors. That was just sent out there. And elegant and iconic signs in classrooms. So the faces and the signs that you saw earlier, those are not going to be the permanent signs that are going to be around. So what this committee was doing is actually went to Innovative Design, which is the Berkeley, the ASUC kind of design wing, and they're working on making elegant designs that are iconic, and they're going to be placed in almost every single classroom on campus. So this is definitely going to be a big thing. So they're really working on elegant, iconic designs that will be there pretty much for a very long time to come. So with those designs, we're hoping later on that we could come to the Senate and come with like 2 or 3 that we thought were really good, and you guys will finally decide on the final one. And then finally, establish an ASUC committee to maintain and promote the Honor Code as part of campus culture. So I will be working with AAVP Valerie Jameson on that, and really updating you guys on that. And finally, other outreach campaigns. And by other outreach campaigns, I essentially mean that we need help from the ASUC Senate, really letting people know that there is an Honor Code out there that exists. We're one of the first public universities to really, embrace an Honor Code and make it really part of our culture. So really working on that, making sure that student leaders know about the Honor Code and they're spreading it to the rest of the campus. And that's you all right here. So that will be the final step of implementation. But yeah, so we just want to come in here and present to you that these are the things that are ongoing with the Honor Code. The bill was passed last semester, but there's been a lot of interesting and great changes going on, and yeah, we're looking to move forward with it. But if you guys, if you all have any questions, please let us know.
Senator Mullen and then Senator Feynman.
Let's see how loud this is. So my first question is, really, I think most students are confused about what it means and what the impact of it is on their academic participation in the classroom, and how, if it is not the code of conduct, how it is expected to be, used as a functionality. And my second question would be whether or not this also applies to professors and their conduct with students, inversely being also implemented upon professors and different GSIs.
Yeah, excellent question. Well, to answer the second one first, absolutely it applies to all members of the UC campus community. So absolutely, and we hope it will be embraced and talked about everywhere that's appropriate to do so. The other question is, how is it meant to be used? It's meant to be used as a as a springboard for discussion. So, for example, if words are put in a syllabus, they're not supposed to just be there and expect that nobody reads them like things that we check off for, what did you call them? Terms of agreement, yeah. Terms of agreement. It shows how much attention I pay to those. Thank you. But to have teachers talk about them. So, to draw attention to these are the guidelines for ethical behavior. This is what plagiarism is, and this is what to avoid. This is how it's expected that and actually encouraged that you'll collaborate on assignments, and this is where the boundaries of collaboration should end when you write up your final report to turn in and stuff like that. So to talk about it, and before exams for several years now in my classes, and I teach big classes with hundreds of students in Wheeler, before exams, I always spend like a minute just talking about the importance of paying attention only to your own work and not looking around and stuff like that. And it has had a big impact in kind of reducing that sort of behavior. So the idea is that it's just a springboard for discussion.
Other questions?
Yeah, it's not intended to be something that's a disciplinary action or anything. I'm not sure if any of you have seen The Social Network, but like in The Social Network, these kids go to the dean and say, "Oh, on the honor code, Zuckerberg didn't do this right," and he's like, "Well, I mean, it's an honor code. It's not necessarily like a code of conduct." So it's not a disciplinary action. So professors are also expected to uphold their integrity when dealing with students as well.
Senator Kleiman, then Senator Yupan.
Professor Presti, thank you for coming and spending time with us. I had a question about how the honor code is kind of incorporated with the rest of campus-wide literature. Is it at all related to the university motto, or is there similar kind of values? I feel like it could be sending not mixed messages. Obviously, things like respect and integrity are always good, but it could be kind of confusing if it's different than the university motto. Are they all related? Are they incorporated in one another? Was that considered at all when this honor code was being established or brainstormed?
Well, there is the closest thing to the honor code that's already part of the university kind of infrastructure are what are called the principles of community. And it turns out if you look up the principle, I had never heard of the principles of community until 2 years ago when somebody told me about them. They are on the website. There are a couple of links down from the homepage. And it's about a couple of paragraphs worth of bullet points, which include pretty much the statements about honesty, integrity, and respect, but with a lot more elaboration. And so this is really we felt a succinct distillation of that. So there's certainly no contradiction or anything like that. This is consistent with any other slogan or message or motto or anything that might be part of our campus community.
Senator Padilla.
Hi, thank you both for coming again. And I just want to talk more on a programmatic approach of the honor code and what you see the future of it being. I know that it's meant to address a culture and create a culture shift so that students maybe will want to work together but don't feel that necessary competitiveness or need to use that competitiveness at the expense of their own personal work. Do you think that there's ways to use in the committee right now to use it as a springboard for more initiatives that allow for more student collaboration? Without plagiarism, of course, or just kind of de-teething what it means to be at Berkeley, to be pitted against everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great idea, and it's something that we as a committee are really looking towards to implement and make it more something that's just kind of a statement, and that's where we really come to the ASUC for help on that. You all have the ideas on what to do, how to make it better in terms of for collaborating. I remember there was an incident just this past year in the College of Engineering where a professor said, "Yeah, I'm going to tear you guys apart. I'm going to make sure that you never get a job," or something like that after there's widespread cheating in the classroom. So at that point, you really need to work with students and make sure that there's collaboration and not, necessarily going the wrong way. And also, really checking in with professors and making sure that they uphold their own honor code as well. So in response to that, yes, we are completely open to ideas. I'm always available. David is always available to we'll leave our emails, but we would love those ideas to make it more of a collaborative thing as well.
So we have 1 second left. Senator Iwoma has a question, so if we can extend time by maybe like 2 minutes. So that
I move to extend time by 2 minutes.
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion to extend time by 2 minutes, and it's been seconded. Are there any, or is there any objections? Abstentions?
I'd like to make the friendly names of 3 minutes.
That would be a new motion, because we just passed the other one.
Oh, never mind, doesn't matter. So I just wanted to commend you all for doing this work, and I think that just to highlight some like the limitations, I think it's really a great symbolic thing. It's great. It's really visual. Like I've seen the pictures and stuff everywhere, and it's great that professors are saying like at the beginning of classes. I think that I know y'all spoke a little bit about dialogue. I think y'all could really push that further and give students the opportunity to really engage with each other, and for them to come with their own understanding of what the honor code is, instead of only simply telling them this is what the honor code is, but to be able to have students have discussions about like what does it mean to have the honor code, and to be able to do that. And I know my office working on cultural competency efforts where we're looking to create cross-cultural dialogue between people, having different groups come together and have different understandings with that. So I would definitely be willing to work with you all to push that actual like programmatic efforts that Pablo was talking about as well. So I think y'all can really push that and move that further.
That would be great. I'd send you an email and we'll get started on that. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so we have 1 minute and 10 seconds. Are there any other questions? Last Senator Feynman.
All right, it's being incorporated at all into orientation in the CalSO?
Yeah.
Yes, it started with CalSO last year. So last year, Viv Gilboa, who was Mahir's predecessor as the chair of the Honor Code Implementation Committee last year, and I did a training for the CalSO trainers on the meaning of the, so this will, the Dean of Students Office is very supportive of this, so this will be a part of all future CalSOs. And I just want to highlight again how wonderful it is to have you guys listen to this and participate, because this is only going to work as a transformation of the campus culture if it's really student-driven. And because you have gazillions more creative ideas than certainly I do. And it would be great to have all of those creative juices really plug into making this work in whatever ways, you know, you might come up with now and in future years. So thank you for your interest in that.
Yeah, David and I will stick around for like 2 or 3 minutes if you all want to come up to us with questions or anything, and that's it. All right, thank you guys so much.
All right, next I'd like to invite up our presenters for the next special order, which is the Filipino Association for Health Careers.
Hi everybody, can everybody hear me? Alright, so today we have the Filipino Association for Health Careers presenting about the Medical Mission Benefit Concert that will be happening on December 7th. Normally PAC presents on Senate through FICOM because they ask for Senate contingency to help them support the Medical Mission Benefit Concert, but through the spring budgeting allocation, they were able to be generously given the $1,500, which is full funding from the ASUC. What they're seeking today through this special order is the support of our ASUC, especially fellow senators, to really promote the event. This event is, I'll let the pump coordinators talk more about it, but it's to raise funds for a medical mission within the Philippines, and this year their target or assigned location is Tarlac in the Philippines. So we have Alan and Carissa, who are the pump coordinators for PAC, who will be presenting about MMBC.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alan Siapno, and this is Carissa Villanueva, and we are the Filipino Undergraduate Mission Program Coordinators from the Filipino Association for Health Careers. And we have come tonight to humbly ask for the support of the ASUC in the production and promotion of our annual Medical Mission Benefit Concert. The Filipino Association for Health Careers, also known as PAC, is a 20th year ASUC-sponsored student activity group and is on its 28th year serving the campus community. We welcome every student regardless of race or pre-professional track, and this semester our organization is comprised of 15 core members and 50 interns. It is our goal to serve as a support group and second family to our members, and in hopes of helping them achieve their goals and to educate not only the Filipino community but also our extended communities about relevant health issues. One of the biggest ways we educate the community about certain issues is through our annual Medical Mission Benefit Concert, otherwise known as MMBC. Every year, PAC sends 5 student representatives to participate in a medical mission to the Philippines, sponsored by the Philippine Medical Society of Northern California, PMSNC for short, and provides funding for the mission's medical supplies. Every year, the PMSNC chooses a different location which lacks adequate medical attention and faces socioeconomic hardships. Each mission provides free healthcare services including minor to major surgery, pediatrics, dentistry, OBGYN, and other basic health procedures. Last year, the mission served 10,000 people in the span of only 4.5 days. This includes one-on-one health education advice given to 1,200 people and 647 surgeries. And if you take a look around, some members of our community have brought signs that have statistics and data from previous missions. This year, the chosen province is Tarlac, a rural and impoverished area with very little access to any form of healthcare and in dire need of the services the mission will provide. Each year, PUMP carries out an application process in which 3 to 4 undergraduates are selected to participate in the medical mission as representatives of PAC and the Filipino community at Cal. In addition to participating in the medical mission, the volunteers play a significant role in educating the community about the mission. PAC's MMBC 2013 kickoff was organized by our PUMP interns and mission volunteers, who presented topics such as the information on Tarlac, the overall state of healthcare in the Philippines, and information on previous medical missions. We also showcased talented performers from our very own Berkeley community to give a taste of the concert to come. At this point, we would like to ask this year's mission volunteers to step forward. They're over there. We have great confidence that these 3 individuals will represent PAC and the greater Berkeley community to the highest degree, as well as give back to the community when they return by sharing their newfound knowledge and experiences.
Hello, I'm Carissa again. So the Medical Mission Benefit Concert is our largest and most widely attended event of the year. This year will mark our 16th year of hosting this event, and every year it evolves and develops as we use experiences from previous concerts to improve both the quality of the show and the means through which we provide education on pertinent issues. To stay true to our goal of serving our communities, our concert will continue the tradition of showcasing local performers and performers from across the state that range from dance groups and hip hop artists to soloists and bands, providing an outlet for them to not only share their amazing talents, but to inspire the audience and also the local community. Throughout the booking process, these artists are made aware of the nature of the concert and the medical mission and generously donate their time and talent to our cause. By featuring local talent, we strive to emphasize that the concert is a family event and to encourage all family and supporters of the performers to attend. In the past few years, the total attendance has displayed a trend of positive growth, and we expect to continue that this year for a total attendance of approximately 400 people. Planning for this concert began all the way in the summer and has been a semester-long process. We've had multiple fundraising efforts, including restaurant, karaoke, and dance fundraisers, working football concessions also. We have weekly meetings solely for the planning of this concert, in which we include our interns and the rest of PAC, and the kickoff event also. All this hard work will be well worth it once December 7th comes around. For the past 6 years, MMBC has been held in Wheeler Auditorium and will again be held there this year on Saturday, December 7th. All proceeds from this event go toward the annual medical mission to the Philippines, sponsored by the Filipino Medical Society of Northern California, and provides funding for the mission's medical supplies.
The benefit concert and the process leading up to it serves as a platform for educating the public about the issues for which PAC advocates. In the months leading up to the concert, we strive to highlight the goals and purpose of the mission and concert by filming commercials, holding workshops, and throwing a kickoff event. Furthermore, on the day of the concert, we set up 6 to 7 educational display boards in Wheeler Lobby, which are researched and created by our interns. These boards contain topics that allow the audience and the members and general visitors to read about various aspects of the event and the mission. This year, the boards consist of information regarding topics such as Tarlac and the previous destinations, healthcare in the Philippines, the explanation of the theme, and the brain drain phenomenon. In addition, we plan to include a raffle in which only those who have read through the information from the educational boards would be entered. The prize is usually a free MCAT course from Kaplan. To help us reach our goals, we have strived to especially emphasize the publicity aspect of the concert. Since the beginning of August, we have released a series of commercials pertaining to the benefit concert and the medical mission via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. To bolster our local publicity efforts, we display posters, flyers throughout Berkeley and the greater Bay Area to go along with our daily flyering on Sproul Plaza. Furthermore, during our canvassing to local Filipino communities, we have established working relationships with a number of businesses to reciprocate advertising efforts between PAC and the businesses. As a student organization for 28 years, we are fortunate to have an extensive alumni network in a multitude of different professions. Through these connections, we are able to reach out and publicize our event in spaces that we normally would not have access to.
Outside our Filipino community, PAC also has strong ties with Filipino health orgs on other campuses, such as the Filipino Association for Health Careers from UC Davis, and other minority-based health groups here on campus, specifically CHE, which is Chicanos and Latinos in Health Education, and BSHA, Black Students in Health Association. Together, we try to create a unified minority pre-health community to support each other in our events. Not only does this benefit concert draw attention to the failing health system in the Philippines, but it also elucidates health issues that are non-exclusive to the Philippines, but very common to various developing nations. In order to address this common struggle, we are open-heartedly extending our event to many other communities. We will be reaching out to the many multicultural groups on campus in hopes of fostering a sense of solidarity with one another. We plan to invite these groups to Table in Wheeler to also promote awareness about the tragedies and conditions of their countries. The inclusivity of this concert effectively expresses our belief and the belief of many that adequate health care is a right and not a privilege. Our motivation to put on this concert and go on this medical mission is way beyond the humanitarian aspect. As Alan mentioned earlier, we have 5 days to provide medical treatment to 10,000 individuals, but the effects of the mission are even more vast than those numbers, so profound that we cannot quantify the impact and meaning of it all. It is beyond measure, which is the theme of our concert this year. A musical measure and all of its components move a song or piece along. It provides consistency and sustainability for the overall piece. Yes, our 5-day humanitarian effort is a Band-Aid solution for those in Tarlac, Philippines, but the hope and empowerment we instill in them will last a lifetime. We will show them that there are people like us beyond borders who are fighting to alleviate their struggles, which result from poor healthcare and economy. We hope that this will empower them and their leaders to act and strive for better healthcare. The inspiration we will provide for audience members and the local community to continue these magnanimous efforts will also leave a legacy for the concert. It is these long-term sustainable effects that are immeasurable, and we are willing to do all that we can to achieve this. This year, we are fortunate enough to have received the $1,500 we usually request from the ASUC's contingency fund as a line item on our spring budget. So we are putting greater importance in the ASUC's involvement in promoting the concert and our cause. We know that this effort is beyond PAC, beyond our Filipino community, beyond our campus community, and it would be a huge step toward our aspiration to gain the support of our associated students of University of California, who regularly stand for our fellow UC Berkeley students. It is important to recognize that without the struggles of our ancestors, many of us would not have the simple privileges we have today. As students, we all face the shared struggles of budget cuts, economic recession, and rising tuition costs. But we also need to be conscious of the greater struggles that prevent our brothers and sisters around the world from enjoying the basic necessities of which we have the luxury of. It is a strong belief in our community that when one of us are down, then we are all down, and it is our collective responsibility to help each other up. In our Filipino community, we call this isang bagsak, which literally means one down, one fall. We stand together in solidarity because beyond whatever differences we may perceive, the struggles and goals are not unique in our community alone, but instead are felt by all. Regardless of whether we are serving here on campus or going on a mission abroad, we are all capable of having a significant impact in these efforts. Our passion to serve, our willingness to care for others across the ocean goes beyond borders, transcending cultures, backgrounds, and languages. And as the leaders of this campus, we hope that you all share our conviction and will join us in our dedication to achieve that which is beyond measure. We cannot express enough gratitude for giving us the opportunity to speak in front of you all today, and we'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to us. With all that said, we would also like to invite everyone in the room to PAC's 16th Annual Medical Mission Benefit Concert, Beyond Measure, on Saturday, December 7th in Wheeler Auditorium. Ticket sales will begin this Friday, and pre-sales are $12, and at the door it's $15. You can purchase tickets at our PAC table. We table on Sproul, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And yeah, we'd just like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to us today.
Great, thank you. Senators, do you have any questions for our presenters? Senator Tan, did you want to say something?
Yeah. As you've heard, so it's a lot of, sorry. So what I just want to say is like PAC here has is present because they really believe in the medical mission that they're doing. It's really been one of my first exposures into why I wanted to be an ASUC senator, was to really represent student groups like this. PAC has continuously shown how much effective work they've done, not just in our Berkeley campus, but also overseas, especially in the Philippines. As of right now, we've heard about the tragedy that has happened in the Philippines, but we also will see a lot of the victories and a lot of the triumphs that the people in the Philippines will see through the work that we do in the student body. So I just really want to say that our student government has invested a lot in the development of PAC. So I really want and encourage all of the senators to support the Medical Mission Benefit Concert, and I will be bringing in tickets here, so y'all better buy a ticket and spread it around your communities. All right, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I'd like to also briefly invite our presenters to come speak with our recorder so he can get your name. Thank you. Any last questions for our presenters? Awesome, thank you so much, everyone. We'll move on in our agenda now to legislative officer reports, starting with our Attorney General. If the committee chairs don't report them to Jordan.
Hello. Okay. Good evening, everyone. All is sort of quiet on the Attorney General front, and there hasn't been a whole lot going on other than something that actually hasn't been included, but as the mass exodus leaves the room. On Monday at Conrev, and I'm sure Conrev will discuss it more in their report, we really talked a lot about the appointed officials process that really sort of stemmed from something that was brought up by a member of the public to the Attorney General's office, and actually it's now sort of become a policy that we're going to be implementing into the bylaws, hopefully. So the members of Conrev can speak to you more about that, and there will probably be a bill that's coming out of that regarding how we can do a better job about codifying the appointed officials. The language of the bill that we're currently drafting took all of Article 9 of Title I, the appointed officials, and condensed it down to about a page and a half from like its current gazillion pages. So that's good. And as far as anything else that's really going on, I've just sort of been doing the usual meeting with anyone who has any questions, answering emails about interpretations of the Constitution and bylaws. But other than that, it's sort of been pretty quiet on our end other than what we've been doing in Conrev. And so I listed a few meetings that are going to be going on, and I wanted to thank Senator Truax for inviting me to something that has nothing to do with my job as Attorney General, but I did want to take an opportunity to thank her for inviting me to the meeting that we're going to be having with the associate students of Berkeley City College and my former community college hat. So thank you, Emily, for that. Other than that, like I said, really short, nothing really going on. Are there any questions?
Questions for our Attorney General? Woo! All right, if there are none, thank you, Kevin. We should have reports from other officers in our binders. If we don't have a report from the Solicitor General, J Council Representative, Elections Council Chair, Director of Cal Housing, I know we have our Marketing and Communications Director here. Joe, do you want to give a report? Okay. Senator Shen, do you have a question? Okay, we can return to that after this. Questions for Joe? Senator Mullen?
First, I got an email today. I guess my question is that the events calendar would be displayed on the website, or how would it go out?
The website needs to be updated and revamped. The version of the communications team EVP is working on is working great. So that's going to take a while. It's a big project.
Okay.
But I'm hoping to create a calendar that's at least going to be on the website.
Okay.
So by next semester, it'll be something that's really easily accessible to students.
Great. Any other questions for our Marketing and Communications Director? If there are none, thank you, Joe. We also have spots for the Greek Affairs Officer, the Superb Representative, Services Board Director, and Director of Environmental Sustainability. I believe reports hopefully have been included in written form. If not, our Controller General has noted that. We'll move then into standing committee reports. I suppose because they're out of alphabetical order. Let's see. Senator Mohabit looks ready to go, so let's just go with finance.
Hi everyone.
So SB 53, the week 10, week 11? 10, budget bill passed with a total of $5,903.92, $473.92 of that coming from contingency, and $5,430 of that coming from student space reservation fund. SB 50 was passed. SB 50 being a bill in support of ASUC legal services, and SB 37 was passed with amendments. That one was a bill in support of terminating the operation of CalWatch. That is all.
Maybe that would help. Magic. Okay. So let's hear next then from Constitutional Procedure Review, Senator Tan.
I'm doing the announcement.
Okay.
Yeah. So we didn't have any bills pass per se. We had a really good time enjoying each other's company, and we talked, like Kevin mentioned, about the ASUC appointment process. Just a couple of highlights. We're going to do Conrav. We're going to go through, with Nolan's suggestion a couple weeks ago, a bunch of the bylaws, and we're going to reformat how the bylaws look. So whereas now it's like Article 1, Title 7, Section L, Part D, Line H, like it's really confusing. We're going to make it into a numbered system. So basically, it's hard to explain without like visually showing you, but when it gets to that point, trust me, we're going to show you. But essentially, it's going to be like 1,000 and then 1,100. So if you want to add something between 1,000 and 1,100, you can put it like, I don't know, 1,050. So you can like get from like, you know, without having to like change the entire thing. All you need to do is just like put a new number in. So we think that that's going to help expedite and streamline the use of bylaws. But before we do that, we need to kind of revamp and consolidate different parts of the bylaws, and we're doing it week by week. We're doing a different segment. So this past week was election procedure. Next week is elections, and we're doing institutional memory, things like that, elected officials. So each week we're doing a different one, and we'll kind of send them out to you. We're still deciding we'll do it bit by bit or all as one big motion, but rest assured you will have that soon. Go Bears.
Thank you, Senator Feynman. Let's move on to University and External Affairs.
Hello. So, SB 48, a bill in support of student information systems application developers, passed with an amendment and with a bunch of co-sponsors. SB 49, a bill regarding transparency in the UC presidential selection process, passed. Or no, it's tabled, excuse me. SB 51, a bill to reaffirm Filipino American History Month, was passed. And SB 52, a bill in support of the Take Back the UC campaign, was passed with amendments. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So just for our records, I'd like to briefly review the bills to make sure we have them with and without amendments correctly. SB 48 was with or without amendments? With amendments. So SB 51 was without amendments, it was passed. SB 52 was with amendments. SB 53 was with amendments. The budget bill's always with amendments. And then Senate Bills 50 and 37, those were both passed with amendments or no? Okay, so 50 is with no amendments. Just to clarify, Senator Pandya asked me a question offline about why certain bills appear on the consent calendar and others don't. The office manager puts together the agenda, and the office manager is only able to put bills on the consent calendar if they're reported out of committee to let him know what passes. Otherwise, it's sort of like his best guess. For example, he knows that every week the budget bill is going to be on there, and so I just would urge all of you to be in clear communication with the office manager because he's the one who writes out the agenda, just to confirm that that's happened. Yes, Senator Week?
Do you know if he has a preferred way for us to send it? Because I share him on the Google Doc every week, but our bills are never put on the consent calendar.
Yeah, I think he does everything via email. So just manager@asuc.org. Even if you just send him the link to the Google Doc or like remind him to look at it, that would probably help him. Okay, so on consent calendar, are there any bills that need to be pulled from consent calendar? Senator Week?
I move to pull SB 50, a bill in support of ASUC legal services, off the consent calendar.
We don't, you don't have to motion. Any senator at their own request can pull something from consent calendar just by voicing that. So consent calendar is a really strange part of our agenda. It doesn't work quite the way everything else does. So SB 50 has been pulled. Any other things, Senator Moche?
SB 37.
Okay, so SB 50 and SB 37 have both been removed from the consent calendar. They now move to immediate consideration. Are there other bills that need to be pulled from the consent calendar? Okay, if there are none, the consent calendar will remain SB 48 as amended, 51, 52 as amended, and 53 as amended. So we'll move then now into immediate consideration where we have Senate Bills 50 and 37. Senator Panya?
Can you use a mic?
Do we want to go into a closed session for SB 50?
Yeah, so for SB 50, if there's going to be debate or discussion, we would want to do that in closed session. The Senate can't take action in closed session, so if there are amendments that need to be made to the bill, all of that has to happen in open session. However, for SB 37, we probably don't have to go into closed session necessarily, I guess. That has been discussed pretty extensively. So if the Senate has a preference, I would advise probably doing 37 first, since we don't have to go into closed session, and then we'll do 50 in closed session. Okay, so let's talk about SB 37 first. Finance Officer Lee is the author of the bill, so do you want to take a moment to introduce it?
Well, Hello. Hello? Okay. So basically, I told you all everything that I have in my special order in the past, so I'd like to yield my time to Senator Wuche.
Yeah, I mean, my issue on this, as I said before, is that I don't want to take any action on the Cal Lodge without actually having Dan physically come in and express whatever the issue is. Like I said, I'm willing to close the Cal Lodge. I confidently feel everything you all have said is very knowledgeable, but like I said before, I just want to hear the other side of the story. And for me, we always talk about expressing everyone's opinions and not shutting out voices. And I think here we're indirectly doing that. So even if he's going to come in and anything we think he's going to say is going to be quote unquote rubbish, we still need to at least acknowledge the fact that he's been doing work here. And my very problem is with one of the therefore be it resolved clause, which reads that the ASUC Senate reviews the previous contract between the ASUC and the Cal Lodge contractor, Dan Borge, and by doing so, terminate Dan Borge's employment on the same date of Cal Lodge's closure, with the understanding that the ASUC is giving Mr. Borge ample notice and time. And so once again, I just don't feel comfortable terminating anyone's contract without actually having them come in and express their side of the story. So that's my point on that.
So we'll have Senator Truax and then Senator Week. And just to clarify, we're not technically in a contract with Dan right now. We are operating off of an understanding that we're on the terms of the previous contract, but no contract has been renewed. I mean, I guess you could say that we would be terminating his contract, but it's not. I mean, y'all understand.
Yeah.
Senator Truax?
I just want to clarify, so what's been cut out, and I mean, it's just really hard to see on this, what's been changed exactly on the actual bill.
Senator Week, do you want to address that, and then?
So all the whereas clauses are the same. We added the first therefore be it resolved clause that said the Cal Lodge will no longer take reservations. The reason we did so was because we told Dan that he was no longer allowed to take reservations, and then Bahar called him after we told him that and tried to take a reservation he was going to. So that's why we wrote that into the bill. The second therefore be it resolved clause is the same, except we added a deadline of February 28th, 2014. The third therefore be it resolved clause is the same until and by doing so terminate, and everything after that. And then the final therefore be it finally resolved clause was added to add the deadline of February 28th. 2014. And that's just because it's not the last reservation we have, but reservations after that are like very limited. And we think they're far enough in advance that we could work with the student groups to find alternate options for them.
Cool. Any other questions, comments, concerns on this? Senator Week, do you have additional comments?
Also to address Senator Roach's concerns, so I think the email that Dan sent us did allow us to hear his side from the story. I'm not sure if all of us had a chance to look through the documents, but personally I feel when we've been asking him for weeks upon weeks to send us a list of which student groups have reserved it, and he has failed to comply, and then when he does comply, it's weeks after our initial request. And if you look through the actual document he sent us, he does not provide us with any specific tangible information. It says UC Berkeley fraternity. Who am I supposed to contact? How do I know who? Yeah, UC alumni with family and friends. He's being very, very, very sketchy. I feel like I could use a better term, but vague. And how am I supposed to, if he's not willing to tell me that information, I can't find out. I can't contact. I wanted to I understand. I don't want to close Cal Lodge without talking to a lot of people and hearing different sides. I really wanted to have the student groups that were reserving it come in and speak to us as well, but I can't contact them because Dan won't even give us that information. If he's willing to take the time to write UC Berkeley fraternity, why couldn't he put the actual fraternity with contact information?
Senator Shen?
Yeah, I was just curious on the conversation that happened in FICOM on, I guess, what's going to happen from here on out if, the property manager, if we're just going to assume that Dan's going to take care of it until February or, concerns like that.
Yeah, Senator.
So the conversation we had was, because of high season and whatnot, we are in legal contracts with the people who have made reservations. So if we were to close it now, we're open to being sued by people just because a reservation is a legal contract. And then because we wanted to close it in February, we decided that the best way to do that was just to give Dan stewardship, so to speak, of the lodge until then. It's because it makes sense for him, because a lot of senators wanted to give him a clear notice that you're going to have to move out, you're going to get fired, so to speak. So that's the way we needed to do it.
Senator Shen?
Yeah, because I was asking because also I know in the email he sent us, it said there was reservations until April or May or something. So what's going to happen to those reservations? Or are we assuming those are fake?
Yeah, as Senator Week mentioned, that anything after the very heavy period of February, we can work one-on-one with those groups to help them find additional locations or that sort of thing. It's honestly not entirely out of the possibility that we would have some sort of plan or other property manager or something in the spring. We still don't know what various business proposals are going to come before us on the Cal Lodge, but what we do know is that, if this bill is approved, starting on February 24th, I think is the date, that our current property manager will not be the property manager anymore. Right? So, Senator Wiltshire?
Yeah, I'd just like to say one last thing. Acknowledge everyone's comments. So once again, my issue, and I feel I do understand where everyone's coming from in the fact that I guess you said he's been very unresponsive. In fact, maybe he has, but he at least has offered to come in. And not only that, I think at the broader issue, we're talking about someone's job here. Yes, I understand that this is our property, that we feel at least that he's been dishonest and mismanaging it. But when we're talking about someone's job, I think he's had this for about 10 years or so. We're not the issue. So, and we're sitting here on our high horses as senators, making this decision, and he lives 3 hours away. I think, like I said, it's at least in our best interest to, not our best interest, in the moral interest, at least to allow him to come in and just express his side. Like I said, I'm for closing this. I just want to at least give him the opportunity to come in here and just express his side, and that's what I feel should be the opportunity. So, yeah.
Senator Kanya and then Senator Week.
So in any other situation where the question of a job is in play, I would agree with you. The only reason that I feel this situation is different and that I would urge you to kind of consider this fact is because if you look at the email that he sent us last week, that was basically the email. That was his plea for, here's all the information I have, this is my side of the story, and if he comes in, right, if Dan comes in and presents to us, he's going to be repeating that email, basically. That's exactly what he's going to be doing, and we've given him like multiple opportunities to show us concrete numbers, concrete invoices, concrete bank statements, and he hasn't come through with any of those. And if you took a look at the statements that he did give us, one, the numbers didn't match up. Two, the statements and the summaries were all subjective. They were like summaries written by him, like 5 to 7 sentence paragraphs that are just like his opinion. Like March is a dead month, cool. May is a dead month, cool, right? And so like, if he had really wanted that opportunity to come in and plead his case, then he would have shown us the bank statement that he was spending money with that we are supposed to be paying for. He would have shown us the exact like line item budget of what's going on at the Cal Lodge, and he hasn't done any of that. And so I don't even think that it's worth our time or his time to come in and plead a case for him to drive 3 hours, 6 hours, and we're going to reach the same decision. And so like in his best interest and our best interest, I think that like I would urge you to just like kind of reconsider it for this case because of like the evidence that he's already given us.
Senator Wee?
I don't agree with the argument that like, yes, this is his job, and I know you're trying to be like sensitive of that and like understanding, but if you had a normal job and you weren't performing your job to its abilities, your employer wouldn't sit you down and ask to hear your side of the story, they would fire you. Like that's what would happen. So like I understand and appreciate that you're like trying to be considerate of that, but like we did give him a chance to share his side of the story when we didn't have to do that. And in the state of California, employment law says that you can fire or hire someone with no cause whatsoever. So even if he was doing his job, like we would have the right as his employer to fire him. So like, and we did give him the chance to like share his side when we didn't have to do that. And I think sharing his side in person and sharing it through an email, there's not really any difference in that. And also we are, like, it's not like we're telling him he has to leave the next day. We're giving him more than 90 days notice, where in the state of California, like we got this advice from our lawyer, you only have to give someone 90 days notice to like leave the property. And that's like not even required. We're just doing that to be nice, kind of.
Can I just ask a question?
We're on the speakers list. We have Senator Feynman and then Senator Padilla, but I'll also just chime in and note that before we select a new property manager for the Cal Lodge, so effective February 24th, we could proceed with construction, we could do any number of other things, right? But let's say that we want to get a new property manager for the Cal Lodge, there will be an RFP process for that, where people give us proposals for how they will manage the Cal Lodge. And honestly, nothing will bar Dan from being able to participate in the RFP process again. So if he wants to make the case that he should continue running the Cal Lodge, there can be a competitive process where we vet his contract and his services and his potential to render those services against other bids from other property managers or entities, right? So this is not something where like, I mean, he would be barred from participating in that. That's just a note. But Senator Feynman?
Yeah, two things real quick. I do agree with a lot of the points that we made about it's kind of in our best interest to shut it down. I just want to say two things. I'm not sure it's true that you can fire somebody without any cause. I don't know. I just don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think we're doing it. I think we do have cause. The cause would be that he's like losing his money and that he's not doing his job well. So I think that in the conversations we have, we shouldn't be like framing it that way. We should be framing this. We're terminating his contract because, like, the lack of contract or whatever the limbo state is because the property that he is managing is losing us money and it's not up to standard and stuff that like are specific to him. Because I think we can get kind of in a situation where we say things like that, it could be like interpreted in the wrong way by the outside community. I think the 20 of us understand exactly what you're saying, but just like in the outside. The second thing is I just want to make sure that we are following with legal codes. I think that the worst thing that can happen is that we terminate his contract and we forget something, or in our current situation with our SB 50, that we do something that's against the law and get sued by Dan. I think that'd be like the worst of the worst of the worst. So I just want to urge us to be cautious of that. And I know if it passes, it's going to go through no one's office, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page. And we talk to the right people about making sure we don't get kind of bit in the butt.
Yeah, so to that point, we shared the current sort of non-contract with our, the current lawyer that we have working on this, and he's assured us, and he sent a letter to the Finance Committee sort of advising them on how to proceed. So We have a very well-qualified lawyer who's familiar with contracts, who's reviewed the situation, advised Finance Committee on how to move forward. That's how Finance Committee arrived at the February 24th date. And so there's nothing that can stop someone from trying to sue us, right? But I honestly, at this point, I think because A, we're not in a contract, B, the numbers speak for themselves. There's nothing like malicious going on here. No one is talking about Dan personally. It's just like the numbers and the performance are not up to what, what we might hope the Cal Lodge would be, right? And so our legal counsel just has advised that there's really not grounds for something like to be. Yeah, and so that's been vetted, that's been looked at. This bill and the stuff within it went forward with the advice of our counsel on this matter. Senator Padilla? Okay, and then our finance officer wanted to also say something.
Hi again. So Senator Richard, I understand like you want Dan to come here and speak to us, and I originally wanted the same thing too, but then after speaking with him several times, I changed my mind. But then, and also we can, if that's a will of the Senate to bring him in, we can do that. But then I don't think not passing this bill would be the way to do so, because honestly, I think that we're losing too much money on Cal Lodge, and that's all students' money. And every day that we are not closing Cal Lodge, we are not giving money back to the students. So I think this bill needs to pass, and yeah, thank you.
So next on the list, we have Senator Iwoma. I also just want to sort of chime in and note that this is a really great opportunity for the Finance Committee to develop new expectations for what the Cal Lodge is going to, how it will run. So when we do the RFP for the Cal Lodge, what things are not being presented to you regularly, like what financial information do you not have access to that you would need regularly from the new manager for the Cal Lodge? What services would you want them to offer? How should this look? So that's now something that the Finance Committee can take on. And so, obviously there have been many challenges and communication issues, but when we do the RFP, ideally it would be informed by a robust discussion that happened in Finance Committee about what people would need to integrate into their proposals in order to meet some sort of minimum requirement to be able to bid, I guess, so to speak. Senator Iwoma?
I'll move to vote.
Okay. So there's been a motion to vote, which is not.
Call into question.
My apologies.
No. We actually haven't, I don't think, introduced a vote to pass the bill. It's just been pulled from consent calendar. So Senator Wilma, do you want a motion to pass SB 37, rather?
Move to pass SB 37.
All right. There's been a motion. It's been seconded. Are there any objections to the motion?
I object.
Okay, so one against. Are there any abstentions on this motion? Okay, so we're missing one person, so I think, what is that, 18? Okay, so I guess, senators, do you want to do like roll call on this? I think we're
I'll move for a roll call vote, please.
Okay, so we'll count that as a straw vote, I guess, and we'll do a roll call vote then. Again, to clarify what's on the floor right now, this is to pass SB 37 as it has been amended in Finance Committee, which would set a date for ending the current management of the Cal Lodge. It doesn't do anything besides that. We don't have to like sell the Cal Lodge or like knock it down or anything like that. This is really just to like end the operation of the Cal Lodge as it stands right now, and it does not preclude other actions by the Senate later. So on that motion, voting yes is in favor. Senator Chow?
Yes.
Senator Chung? Senator Feynman?
Yes.
Senator Iwoma? Senator Kong?
Yes.
Senator Lee?
Yes.
Senator Mohabit?
Aye.
Senator Mullen?
Yes.
Senator Boche?
Nay will comment.
Senator Pacheco?
Aye.
Senator Panya?
Yes.
Senator Quinn?
Aye.
Senator Rafi?
Yes.
Senator Shen?
Yes.
Senator Snow? Senator Tan?
Yes.
Senator Truax? Senator Upadhyaya?
Yes.
Senator Week? Senator Wu?
Yes.
Senators at ease while we tally the votes.
I am no, not nay.
So with the vote of 18 in favor, 1 against, that motion passes. We'll now proceed to comments in alphabetical order. Senator Woche.
Yeah, once again, so I think, like I said, my feeling was with the senators, I did want to close the Cal Lodge, but my issue, so I think if we did back 2 weeks ago, I wanted to call a special order for Dan to come in next week. And then I also expressed the fact that his next available appointment would be November 13th or 18th. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there were some comments made being the fact that we're losing money every day and we need to close this now. And I think at the time when I brought it up, it was sort of, we said we were going to push it back and wait for FICOM to come to a decision. And so when FICOM came to that decision, that's when I raised my objection again, being the fact that I felt that he needed to come in before we made any decisions or so. But I mean, I do think it is sort of a wise decision. But the second part, I think, because I think Impact said that it's not doing anything other than closing Cal Laws, we're also firing someone at the same time too. And it's not about being sensitive or not. My thing is just about allowing people to express their voice. And here on Berkeley's campus, we always talk about not hindering the minority opinion, etc. But I think here today we've indirectly done so. This is someone who had the job for 10 years, whether or not he did a bad job. I just want to hear his side of the story and say, and then we can call him out and say, hey, you messed up, but at least you got to express your opinion. But yeah, so thank you.
Next on the list is Senator Rafi.
I just want to briefly say that I just want to recognize FICOM and also Finance Officer Dennis Lee for doing your due diligence with this issue and keeping us all informed along the way. It wasn't an easy decision to make clearly, and I just look forward to moving forward with this.
Senator Truax.
Yeah, no, echoing what Senator Rafi says and just moving forward, I think this is a huge issue that I think every single one of us should stay really on top of and really informed. So in the future, if any of us have meetings about the Cal Lodge, FICOM meetings, Dennis, if you have meetings, if we could all take really detailed notes and send it out to everyone so we're all know what each other's talking about. We all are on the same page when we come to the Senate floor and are voting on this. When we're voting on these issues, we all know the exact same information and are all on the same page. I think that can make for really just greatness in the future. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Week.
I just wanted to again address Senator Mochi and say that I'm not trying to be, and my comment wasn't to be insensitive to Dan. I understand exactly where you're coming from. And when he sent us the email, I didn't just look at everything he said and say oh, this is coming from Dan, none of it matters. I completely agree with his statement that we also are doing a bad job on our part in terms of advertising the Cal Lodge. For example, every time I've mentioned the Cal Lodge to a friend, they don't know what I'm talking about. So clearly that's a problem. I don't think Dan was the only issue. There are many issues, but I think this is the first step to solving all of those issues and moving forward.
Great, so that concludes the speakers on this vote. SB 37 has been passed. So our next item under immediate consideration is SB 50, which is on legal services.
I would move to go, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I want to frame the discussion first and say, we don't have to go into closed session in order to discuss this if we're just going to make a brief amendment to the bill. I know Finance Committee talked about that. If we're going to debate the substance of the bill and there are going to be questions raised about the substance of the bill, we would want to go into closed session and resolve that so that we can come back to open session and make our decision having had that discussion. Yeah, so I guess a brief straw poll, those who still have substantive questions, comments, concerns about the bill or things that they think are unanswered about the bill as opposed to just making small technical changes. Senator Woche?
Yeah, I don't know if I can answer this, but I'll just, being the fact that we're firing and hiring someone, would our other lawyers still be present? So would we have 2 lawyers and then we have to, I don't know if I can talk about that now.
Yeah, so that, the bill, I believe, as Finance Committee intends to present it to us, will leave us with 1 lawyer.
Okay, all right.
Well, we will have a law firm, which is multiple lawyers.
Part of the question. Because the reason why I asked is because I guess that's assumed, but I guess because the bill doesn't explicitly say that we are.
Right, and so that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one technical change the Finance Committee intends to present to us. Are there other substantive questions, comments, concerns about the bill before we talk about that amendment? Okay, so Senator Mohabbat, do you want to update us on this?
Like, what do you mean?
I mean, if...
Just like an update?
Yeah, we should make the amendment.
So, all right, so I would motion to make an amendment adding a whereas clause to the end of wherever the whereas clause. Are we ready to do this, or? We are? No, we're not. We're not.
There's a lot of typers up there. I'm not really like.
Feel rushed.
He's doing multiple. Just clarifying multiple amendments.
Yes, there will be multiple amendments, so just bear with me.
Okay, so do you want to tell us where this whereas or resolved or whatever clause goes?
Yeah, eyesight. No, other way. There we go. No, little more.
Okay.
I have hard sight.
Okay.
If you click that one, it multiplies and you zoom in there.
Then you can't see the timer.
Can you run the timer on this? Yeah, I will do that.
Yes. Yes, we can do that. Anything is possible. Okay. Senator Mohabbat?
So I apologize, there is no whereas clause. We're going to go straight to the be it resolved clauses.
Do you want this before or after the existing one?
After works. All right, so I'm just going to read it off. Be it resolved that the ASUC terminate its existing legal services agreement with the Brock Law Office effective immediately, semicolon, and
Its existing legal service?
its existing legal services agreement.
Terminates existing legal services agreement with the Brock Law Office.
With the Brock Law Office, comma, effective immediately, semicolon.
Why is it a semicolon for the end?
Semicolon and there's like another one.
Yeah, it's a tricolon. Okay.
And then do I just go straight into the other one as well?
Yes.
Okay, and then the second one is be it resolved, the ASUC Senate approved the association's contract with the law offices of Stephen Ellenberg as attached to this bill, effective immediately.
It's like the first one though. Do you want to like amend?
Oh, JK. Can we just amend the first one? Sorry, this got complicated.
I don't know why I didn't notice that.
I don't know why I didn't notice that.
The proposed contract with Office of Stephen Ellenberg, comma, attached to this bill.
Yeah.
Law offices of Stephen Ellenberg as attached to this bill, comma, effective immediately.
Okay.
Then you just want to make the second.
So, should we just like delete the first one?
No,
That's fine, that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
And we would want an amendment to attach to the contract.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a motion to make.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and it's been seconded. We're now in discussion on the motion. Is there any, Senator Week?
I guess I just wanted to get like a sense if we wanted to fire him effective immediately, considering the conversations we had about not wanting to fire Dan immediately, if we wanted to give him like some notice, or if we're just like, oh well, you're fired.
So I know Finance Committee has had these discussions. I don't know what the feeling of the committee is. I'm going to make a speculation right now and say that because we're now like halfway through the month of November, we are going to have to pay our existing attorney through the month of November anyway, because our contract with him is on a month-to-month basis instead of an hourly basis. We definitely don't have those hours. But yeah, Senator Week?
So I move to make a friendly amendment to instead of say effective immediately, effective by the end of November.
Okay, so if the original maker of the motion accepts, we'll say effective November. Oh, right. Ha 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 ha.
Is that a Mandark line? Mandark?
Yeah, Senator.
Yeah, also, can we just, clear up the diction on can we add a therefore, and then therefore be final resolved, just so it's consistent with the way they're written? Oh, well, I know that's tedious, but. I also motion to previous question on the amendments to the bill.
By the way, Senator Weeks' amendment is friendly.
Okay. Okay, so we're taking this amendment. The amendment on the floor has been modified. Kevin is having a panic attack. And November has 30 days.
30 days past September, April, June, and November.
Thank you for that fairy tale. I don't know what it's. Okay. Actually, okay, so let's just make it December 1st. How's that? Okay, so with Senator Mohabed's original motion modified to read, as we see here, the motion has been made and seconded. We'll probably want to do a roll call vote on this too. These are fairly serious. Senator Shen.
I was just curious.
What if we say yeah, 11:59 p.m. on November 30th? So,
also,
hold on briefly, Senator Feynman?
Yeah, also, I know it's month to month, but with phone bills, for example, they could start on whatever day. No, it is the beginning of the month. We know that for sure.
That's, as far as I know, that's the way that our billing cycle with him works. We allocate more than we actually need for attorney's fees, but we pay, what is it, $48,000 every year, and it's just paid on a monthly basis.
But is it the first day of every month, not the 15th to the 15th?
That would be really weird.
Well, that's how a lot of contracts work.
Can you just say current payment?
Can we just change it to say current payment cycle?
Current payment.
Current monthly payment?
I just want to.
You didn't say anything, so I don't know what you. I have the microphone. I'm talking.
So
actually, can we just say effective immediately? Because effectively, it does the exact same thing. If we have to pay him anyway, we just come to the consensus knowing that he's going to be paid for the rest of the month and he has other clients.
So the only problem that I see with that is that if we need him to cooperate with the transition of papers and things like that for the rest of the month, technically, if it's done immediately, then that becomes hourly billables for him.
The shade.
If it's the rest of the month of November. Senator Feynman.
Can I move to amend this just to say instead of effective November 30th, effective at the end of the November payment cycle? Was it friendly?
November 2013 payment cycle.
Okay.
Sounds good.
What if? So we're going to have a brief parliamentary aside. By what method would you suggest that we integrate new suggestions to the amendment that's on the floor?
So once something's been moved and seconded, it belongs to the body. So the maker of the motion has no territorial parental rights over it, no custody rights. So it's just the consent of everyone. So the chair can just say, if it's something small or minor, just say if there are no objections by anyone, then we'll just make this slight amendment. We save so much time, and we don't have to worry about friendly amendments and waiting for someone to decide if they're friendly or not. And we move on with our lives, and things are great.
So we can now take friendly and hostile amendments with the same. Okay, so we have the two resolve clauses. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
I don't understand why.
Because if not, we'll move into a roll call vote. If I can find my pen.
Can we,
Okay. We have questions, Senator Truax and Senator Boche.
should there be a semicolon and the first one?
You're correct.
Good job. Is that hostile?
That's unfriendly, but I don't object. Just unfriendly.
Any other questions, comments, concerns before we move into a vote? Senator Boche?
Yeah, no, my only concern was just about the BSF board, because I know anyway, I know he essentially he's sort of the one who sort of leaves, huh? Greg, thank you. I don't know why. Anyway, all right. So I know Greg is sort of the one who sort of leads that community stuff like that. So I was just concerned about the fact how going forward, how we would go forward with BSF if we're terminating him by the end of November or so.
Yeah, my understanding of the Berkeley Student Foundation is that it's not codified that our lawyer chairs it or anything. He shepherds the process, but is by no means like the leader of it. The Senate and the BSF, well, the Senate via the BSF board is really the decision-making body. We understand, and part of the reason that I think it's advisable that we make this through the end of the 2013 payment cycle is that cooperation on the transition of that process to our new attorney is involved. Not just that, but all sorts of other documents. Also another note, Steve knows about all of the 501c3 related things that the ASUC has to do. Another note is that he comes up here, I think, for every football game, and so BSF meetings could be on game day, for those of you who are interested.
It's not basketball.
Even I know that.
Or basketball, or some other sport, which I clearly know nothing about.
It's still game day, but nothing.
Anyway, so he has promised to make himself available for those sorts of things. I wouldn't worry about BSF. Other questions, comments, concerns before we move to the roll call vote? Okay, if there are none. Senator Chow.
Yes.
Senator Chung. Senator Feynman. Senator Iwoma. Senator Kong. Senator Lee.
Yes.
Senator Mohammed.
Aye.
Senator Mullen.
Yes.
Senator Woche.
Abstain.
Senator Pacheco.
Aye.
Senator Panya. Senator Quinn.
Aye.
Senator Rafi.
Yes.
Senator Shen.
Aye.
Senator Snow.
Yes.
Senator Tan.
Yes.
Senator Truax.
Yes.
Senator Upaduyula.
Yes.
Senator Week.
Aye.
Senator Wu.
Yes.
Senator Zedis while we tally the votes. Okay. So with a vote of 18 in favor and 1 abstention, that motion passes. SB 50 is passed as amended. Thank you all for that. Indeed. Wait, 2 important and relatively painless votes magically. Oh, and 7 seconds to spare on something. So our next item on the agenda is old business. I don't believe that we have any old business to report on. Are there any special committees that need to report to us?
Can I make
Senator Shen? Oh, yes. So if there are no objections, we'll return briefly to the sort of appointments area where Senator Shen will relay elections council chair views nominations.
So the
To clarify, if you can read them into the record, but also just for ease, if you can email them to me and Mr. Lamar.
Okay, yeah. So the 2 positions are for polls coordinator and assistant elections chair. So it's Daniel Du, DU, for polls coordinator, and Jenny Chen for assistant elections chair. And I've been told that they will be coming in next week to take questions. So if you have anything, just be ready next week. Yeah.
Great. So we will consider those positions announced with the intention to appoint next week. We'll now move then into, so if there really are no special committee reports, I don't think we have any special committees that are functioning right now, do we? Senator Pacheco?
Okay, the committee that to the position of the roommate has been having a lot of trouble. We had like one applicant a week that was in the interview week. It wasn't very well. In terms of outreaching, we would like appreciate, want executives to outreach to like Facebook pages or whatever, and then we want to talk to Connor about potentially putting it in the application of when applying to your office. This is really difficult, and we want to give more effort to that position, because when I started to take the last couple of years have been like open to report and don't really have that connection with like the vice background, like
And not even necessarily reporting, really.
or not reporting. And that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
This is very important.
So then if I can just suggest to our marketing and communications director, who may or may not be in the room right now, that he would put together some sort of marketing or outreach campaign for that position. The marketing communications director works for the ASUC collectively, so that's for executives but also senators. So if a Senate committee wants to assign him something to market, we can do that. Cool. Other special committee reports? All right, if there are none, let's move then into ASUC representative reports. This section again is not active, I guess. I'll again throw that out to Conrad. If you all want to pass a bill that formally removes this section from the agenda. Because my understanding is that the Conrad bill wrote into it that it would be, the new system that you all develop is, I guess, interpreted in a way that they're only printed on the agenda if they come in to report. But if it's not removed from the title where the actual agenda is prescribed, that puts us in a difficult spot.
Kevin just got it.
We're
so.
working on it. Okay. So we will move past ASUC representative reports and into elected official announcements. I think Senator Wu, your side can start us off today.
Oh, sure. So next week is International Education Week. It's a nationally celebrated week for raising international culture awareness. So I'll be sending out Facebook invitation for y'all.
So two announcements. On Friday, November 15th, the Cal ice hockey team will be playing Stanford at the Oakland Ice Center, and the game starts at 7:30. And also, starting on Sunday, November 17th, we kick off Big Game Week, which is really exciting. There's maybe 2 or 3 events every single day, so if any of you have questions about what's going on, you can look at my Facebook, or you can come talk to me.
Oh, sorry. Hi, 2 things. So one, with just following up with the special order on like Board of Governors of Rec Sports. We recently just had a meeting on Tuesday, so I asked all questions that you all asked, and I got answers from Mike, so I will email out all the answers plus a little bit more information tonight after the meeting. And second, just echoing what Safina said, Veteran Speaker Panel is next Thursday, 4 to 5 p.m., probably Unit 1 APR. Please come. We have like a professor, a guy who's in financial services, and a couple of students that are all veterans. So it's going to be great. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I just want to thank everybody for making the ribbons. It was really helpful. We're trying to get more and update you on what's happening. So just to briefly explain like our community initiative within the Filipino community. So it's called Act for the Philippines. So you can please help us like promote that community initiative by putting the hashtag Act for the Philippines on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media platform you have. So throughout this week, the Filipino community, the 7 different Filipino organizations will be tabling at Seder Gate to sell those ribbons. So please tell your friends, community members, constituents about the event. Also on next Wednesday, we'll have from 11 to 12 a moment of silence to stand in solidarity for the people in the Philippines. But what I really want to invite everybody to is on Thursday from 4 to 6, our candlelight. So it's the biggest. It's intended to be the fundraiser for Act for the Philippines. So we'll have candles as well as selling the ribbons, performances, and speak outs. So really, this has been one of it's been a tragedy within the Philippines, but it has continuously united our Filipino community here to help each other and like to stand in solidarity with the Philippines. So I really would appreciate if everybody could chime in, either their time or if you can, donate to the proceeds. So all the proceeds will go to NAFCON. It's about 10 universities will be donating to NAFCON as well. So really, thank you so much for making the ribbons. Also, I just want to invite you all on next Friday to Kasama Night. It's with the Filipino Academic Student Services. It's a fundraiser for AB 540 students. Although AB 540 students have substantial financial aid through the California GMAC, a lot of them still have a hard time paying for college, especially within the UC system. So we're really trying to fundraise for AB 540 students. So yeah, please come out and support on those two fundraisers. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I hope y'all are having a great time. So, tomorrow is the Vincent Chin screening that we're having. I talked about it last week. It's tomorrow, 26th at VLSB, 8 to 10. And I also so this weekend I met with folks from Stanford and the Chinese Progressive Association, and my staff and myself and Stanford folks and the Chinese Progressive Association are getting together to plan the Asian Community Training Activists Conference, which will be happening in the spring, but applications will be due during winter break, which is awkward, just to accommodate Stanford's and other schools' winter break schedule as well. And just look out for that, and applications will be due January 6th. Anyone is welcome to come, but it is a good thing to learn more about the Asian American community and activism and how that started, and how to really learn more about community organizing and how to effectively mobilize folks and fight against institutions of oppression and all that good stuff. Thanks.
So I was recently put as a chair for the Student Opportunity Fund, which is a really awesome fund. I would really encourage everyone, if you have any student groups that are trying to find other sources of money, they can get up to $2,000 through the Student Opportunity Fund. So really, just have them forward them to me, let them know. But yeah, it's only 3 people, so yeah, you should have people talk to me. All right, that's it.
So this semester, me and my office are going to be working on a recruitment outreach opportunity for communities that aren't currently being recruited. And I'll be working in conjunction with Senator Mohabit, Senator Feynman, and Senator Chung at the moment. But if you're currently representing a community that you would like to be able to reach out to, like high school seniors, come talk to me or any of the other senators that I mentioned. And right now it's currently a faith-based outreach, but we can talk about expanding it. Thank you.
Hey y'all, so next week is Transgender Week of Remembrance, and it's really great. The Gender Equity Resource and a lot of different clubs in the queer and trans communities put it on. The only events that come to mind are next Monday in the Gender Equity Resource Center, there's a white anti-racist meeting. You don't have to be white to go, but it's generally for white folks to educate each other on how we can be better allies to people of color. Wendy really likes it. And it's really great space. I'll probably be there, so if you have never been to Gen Ec, just talk to me. We can go together. And then either on the Wednesday or Thursday, I forget, there will be gravestones out on Sproul with the names of a lot of trans folks who have been killed for being trans and victims of hate crimes. So if you happen to walk by Sproul, we'd really appreciate it if you could stop by, take a flyer, just like remember the folks. And then, on a happier note, my office is working on an inclusivity project to work on inclusive language and letting people access language and like why it's wrong, right? Like I explained to all of you why I don't like when people say guys, but having it in a little booklet with all these other things is good for everyone. Grant gave me some input. A lot of you have given me some input, but if anyone has anything, we're trying to finish it up by the semester, so please send me anything, even if it's just like a word you don't like people calling your community. And then lastly, the Keystone XL Pipeline Rally is on Tuesday, so you'll never have to hear me talk about it again, except about how great it went. So after you stop by the tree chopping rally for Lauren, you can swing by Sather Gate and hold up some sunflowers and hold up our 90-foot pipeline and protest this really, really awful pipeline that contributes to environmental racism. Thanks, bye.
ISA's Diwali is on Friday at iHouse, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. There's going to be a lot of performances. I'm going to be performing. It's going to be great. Come out.
Before we move to the other side, I just want to remind everyone, I left each of you with a little flyer about the new ASUC. Put it somewhere to remind yourself to go post it on Facebook or something, in your pocket or your wallet or wherever. I think one thing to note about this is that we're going to do a lot of work with the information that we get at this event over the winter. And it's the only one that we're going to have time to do in the fall, though we will continue to do sort of follow-up ideas on the ASUC's presence on campus and what we focus on in the spring. A lot of the work that happens over winter in terms of the new ASUC or the ASUC as a concept is going to happen based on what happens at this town hall. So please make sure that your communities are aware of it and give them the opportunity to come and voice their concerns, support or objections or general grievances or likes of the ASUC.
But they have
I need this anyway, but whatever. Yeah, so first of all, I just want to open up to senators, tell them that anytime you all have events, just feel free to shoot them by me. I was going to tell Sean to send me that, but whatever. But yeah, I don't mind sharing on my Facebook page or emailing out to folks, so I'll always feel free to do that. Another thing too I was going to say, so once again, I sent out like a library survey for students to essentially fill out their portion. I'm very happy that up to 100 students already filled out the survey, which is very surprising to me. But also if you all could spread that to your own communities as well, so that way we can really get input on that, because I really want to make sure that we do have a 24/7 or at least a 24/5 library, but for whatever reason, like I said, we should not be the #1 world public university and not have a library that's at this point, with hours at this point. Second thing, so I was honored by the Berkeley veterans this week. They gave me an award on working on behalf of veterans, so I was very happy about that in particular. So. Third thing, so I'm partnering with the Student Dietary Association. We're going to be shooting a film next week, November 21st. The location still be decided, about a film called A Place at the Table. And essentially, A Place at the Table is essentially a film that talks about how people in low income have to deal with lack of food sources. So typically, what it's called sort of like food hunger, whereby you may have people it's sort of how it's titled, obesity. You may think, oh, this person is fat, so obviously they have enough money to provide for themselves, right? Well, that might not really be the case. It's the fact that they're just trying to consume more calories because they don't have food, or they don't know the food's going to be there the next day or so. But anyway, so we're going to be filming that. I'm going to remind you about that next week again. It's going to be next week Thursday, and after that we're going to have a discussion after about that. So yeah, thank you.
So one of the groups that I actually helped found, More, is having a fall benefit show next Wednesday. It's featuring Calcium, Men's Octet, Golden Overtones, Improv for Charity, Bear Troop, Ryan Tabura, and Magical Nathan. And it'll be next Wednesday from 7:30 to 9 p.m. in 2050 VLSB. You can buy tickets on Sproul or at the door. Next Wednesday also, ASB 3299 will be going on strike all day, November 20th. I wanted to remind all the senators who took a vote on that was, I believe, unanimously passed. And one of the things that I really implored when I was an external was that you all would help spread the word about when the strike was happening and really explain to students on campus what that strike means, why it's happening, the unfair contract implementation that has happened on campus service workers. So they'll be on Bancroft and Telegraph all day, starting at 6 a.m. with rallies at 9 a.m., noon, and 5 p.m. And they're all also asking for student worker solidarity strikes. So student workers are encouraged to take a sick day in solidarity with the campus service workers and really support their efforts and stand in solidarity with them. Lastly, I wanted to give you all an update. I was talking with an ASUC reporter this week who had been contacted by Malik Nixon's family, who actually traveled to the UC Regent meeting on Tuesday from their home in Southern California to speak to UC Regent specifically about Malik's mental health services on campus and how they felt he was unsupported. They did confirm that his death was a suicide at that time. So I will be working, like I said, I'm always working on this stuff. We had our second mental health town hall last week. It's given me a lot of closure to know the cause of Malik's death, but also given me a lot of spirit and hope that knowing that there are other people who are willing to really fight for this and really see the amazing suggestions that Malik's family brought up that are a lot of things that students have reciprocated. So I'm really excited to see them take that stance and see that brave, stance of in front of the regents and really demand that the entire UC system rethink their mental health services. So if you have any questions or want to work with me more on the advocacy report that my office is putting together, please let me know.
What's good, y'all? Students of Color conferences this weekend is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. The Ignite campaign is going to explode this weekend at UCLA. We're going to have an action at UCLA, and also we're coming back. So all the UCs will be essentially gathering at the Students of Color conference and really finalizing the Ignite campaign and how we're going to execute. And when we get back, there's going to be a week of action that starts on Monday, actually. And I'll be sending you all out an email with a Google Doc where you all can sign up to actually figure out a 5-minute time in your schedule on Monday, where you can actually give a call to Jerry Brown's office and advocate for the legislation that we're looking to get him to pass. So thank you all. Look out for that. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of action that's happening next week. It's going to be a really exciting week next week.
Yeah, one quick announcement. Inspired by Emily's special order last week, I set up a meeting with the 3 directors of the RSF tomorrow. And I have a number of things on my agenda, but if any of you have any topics or things that you would like me to discuss with them that are pertinent to your communities or your individual enjoyment of the RSF, don't hesitate to send me an email and I'll try to put that in the conversation as well. Go Bears.
All right, Senator Week. Sure.
Sorry, I also forgot to mention that showcase season for the dance community is continuing. DanceWorks will be having its annual showcase this Saturday, November 16th, and the movement will be having their free outdoor showcases November 18th and 20th. Those are 12 to 1 on Upper Sproul, so if you're walking to class, and then their indoor showcase is November 21st and 22nd.
Great. So if there are no other announcements, we will move then into final roll call. Senator Chow. Present. Senator Chung. Senator Feynman. Present. Senator Iwoma. Present. Senator Kong. Senator Lee. Here. Senator Mohabbat. Present. Senator Mullen. Present. Senator Boche. Present. Senator Pacheco. Present. Senator Pandya. Present. Senator Quinn. Present. Senator Rafi. Present. Senator Shen. Present. Senator Snon. Present. Senator Tan. Present. Senator Truax. Present. Senator Padilla. Here. Senator Wheat. Senator Wu. Here. Senator Chung. All right. So if there are no objections, this meeting will be adjourned at 9:52.